Well, happy Friday. It is a positive Friday. Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook. As always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province of Alberta, and $40 million up for grabs tonight in Lotto Max. So get your tickets at playalberta.ca. We have lots to discuss on a positive Friday. The Elks, of course, are off. You have the Stingers playing tonight against Vancouver in a first-place matchup. So if you're looking for something to do to escape the heat, because it is hot, baby. It's so hot. I had my phone just sitting in my console, and I was talking on the phones, hands-free, of course, and it just went dead because the sun was beating down through the windshield onto the phone. Overheated it. Now, shut it off for 5 minutes. It works, but it's hot out there, kids. Be sure to hydrate, get some sunscreen on. Please do not leave your pets in vehicles. All right? Let's not. We don't need any reports. Somebody forgetting their pet. Gosh, their child. We've seen horror stories, but it's positive Friday. That's not going to happen, is it? I would sure hope not. So we'll get to all of that. We got some sports to discuss. We're into the quarters at the Euro. You got Canada taking on Venezuela coming up this weekend. That should be good. You got the third consecutive weekend. If you're an F1 fan, Lorianne Munzer will join us because, hey, the Olympics are upon us here in a few weeks, the Summer Olympics. So we'll start focusing on some of the athletes and who to watch for, which sports. I'm always curious in the Summer Olympics. Like, I think most of us are track and field fans for sure. But what other sports are like must watch for you? Or do you watch the ones that Canada has a chance to medal in, which is totally fine. But I'm just kind of curious if there's sports that you like to watch that normally you wouldn't. I'm a huge fan of trampoline. I'll tell you right now, I love it. Like watching it, you know what? Obviously, I had a trampoline as a kid, never did anything like they do. Like, you know, landing one flip and getting on your feet, like that was a major accomplishment as a kid. And then you see what they're doing now. It's obviously a little bit different than what we grew up on. But I like trampoline. Gymnastics, Simone Biles, I could watch her simply because she's probably even more dominant than McDavid is at hockey right now. If you look at her, what is she? I think it's 10 consecutives all around. She's dominating right now. She took a year and a half off, maybe 2 years. She came back for the Olympic trials. Did you see her performance? Like, oh my good. Like, she is so strong and athletic and quick. And you're just like, wow. So I like the watching that. Swimming, I like the short races for sure. It's fun. What else? Cycling. I like the cycling. I like a lot of the different sports, man. Like, I think it's great to watch athleticism, things that, you know what, like, hey, I can ride a bike. I can't ride it that fast, but I appreciate it. So curious, what are your sports that you like to watch, or does it depend if Canada has somebody competing? Like, I love moguls now in the Winter Olympics, man. I'll watch it all the time. I don't care who's in it, right? The cross, kind of the combination of the X Games. That's outstanding stuff. I love watching it. Cons, you got any Summer Olympic sports that are go-tos for you in the next weeks?
Yeah. I mean, we were watching the American qualifying for the gymnastics as well. Simone Biles is unbelievable. I like the diving. That's the one we really got into the last couple of years here, especially when they're doing it tandem, two at the exact same, doing the exact same
diving
thing. Yeah, it's unbelievable. So watching that, Ashley and I have become pretty good judges. I like to think we're very good at critiquing the technique and the splash to try to figure it out.
Sorry to interrupt you, but breaking story.
Well, what do you got?
An Edmonton Oilers trade. Are you ready? Oilers fans? Who do you think it is? It's a regular roster player. Don't look on social media. Who do you think it is? Ryan McLeod. So Ryan McLeod has been traded to the Buffalo Sabres. I'm going to guess the return, without knowing, I'm just going to guess. If I look at the Oilers' salary cap situation, might be pick or prospect. So we'll see. Ryan McLeod had, you know what? He's got some value. I know that there's warts to his game. I understand it, but there's element to his game that you're going to like. But I think Edmonton, in where they're at, I think they like a lot of McLeod's game, but the fact that there was at times an unwillingness to match the competitive nature of the rest of the players. So that's there you go. So Ryan McLeod, we'll find out here in a second. Matt Savoy is coming. What? Wow. So it's Ryan McLeod and Tyler Tullio for Matt. That's a good trade for Edmonton, right? I like that. So a lot for Matt Savoy, man. He was the 9th overall pick, Cons?
He was, yeah, back in 2022. St. Albert product. Carter not offered a contract. They let him walk, and then they bring in Matthew.
Yeah, well, hey, it's a business. It's not personal.
Absolutely. Out of the Winnipeg Ice, yeah. For those wondering, Gregor.
Well, he's not in the Winnipeg Ice anymore, but yeah, that's where he was drafted.
That's where he was drafted out of, yeah.
That is an interesting one. So, hey, there's a positive Friday, Order fans. The off season never ends. So, interesting. Matty Savoy is now he is I said a prospect. Well, they got a pretty high prospect. He's 20 years of age. Just finished up. Actually won a Memorial Cup with the Moose Jaw Warrior. Not a Memorial Cup, a WHL championship. Went to the Memorial Cup with Moose Jaw. He had 47 points in 23 games with Moose Jaw in the regular season after scoring 24 points in 11 games. So in 34 WHL games this past season, he had 71 points. So over 2 points a game. Pretty impressive. And then in the postseason, 10 goals, 24 points, and in 19 games for them. So he'll turn pro. So he'll start in Bakersfield. Edmonton needed, younger prospect. So this frees up $2 million in cap space for the Edmonton Oilers. So there you go. Interesting. So the off season, and when you see this change again, do the Oilers really need a super experienced GM? They seem to know what they're doing in management right now, but they'll also they'll look at it, they'll do it. So we got a lot of text line in already, 833-401-1440. Hey guys, team handball is a great sport to watch. I like triathlon. Ooh, you know what? Triathlon is pretty good. Like having done a sprint, obviously to me, I'm amazed at the speed that they do, like the elite level athletes. It's like any sport, but the triathlon is definitely a neat combination. Hey guys, beach volleyball, Steven Drumheller. Yeah, it's a good call too, man. I like actually even the indoor volleyball. Like, oh my goodness, like they hammer it. You go to U of A, even Cons, for a game, it's outstanding. Guys, I will take the 100-meter men and women, fastest human in the world. It's outstanding. Yeah, not bad to watch. So it's early. So if you're just missing, some of you just tuned in. What? Who got traded? Who got traded? The Edmonton Oilers have traded Ryan McLeod to the Buffalo Sabres along with Ty Tullio for the 9th overall pick in 2022, Matt Savoy. So skilled, smaller center iceman. Right, Matty Savoy, of course, from here, actually played a little bit played the part of the lockout year for the Crusaders, WHL player, really skilled. Right now, he's a little bit smaller, but he's highly skilled. So, and he will. Now he did play this season. He got into one NHL game with the Sabres, And I think I don't think his slide rule, I have to look if his slide rule kicked in or not last year. So I think it's the slide rule. So no, he still has 3 years left because I think it was when he was signed. I got to double check on that. Maybe we'll ask Hart at Puckpedia, but I think he still might have the full ELC remaining. We'll see. So there you go. So that's a little off-season news for the Edmonton Oilers as they get a young prospect. They free up $2 million in cap space. Is essentially what they're doing, and we talked about this. The Oilers, if you look at their lineup now, you would have just on projection base, of course, because things can change for the Edmonton Oilers. But if you look at their lineup, you would have Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, and McDavid. You would then have the two new guys, Skinner and Arvidsson, with Leon Draisaitl. You would have Adam Henrique with Brown and Janmark. Or you could have Holloway there. No problem. But then you have your fourth line, Perry, Ryan. Now it might be that it's Ryan. You might have Henrique with Kane and Holloway, and it's Derek Ryan with Janmark and Brown. And then Corey Perry's your extra guy. Right? You could do that. Now, when Kane comes back in, I shouldn't say back in, if Kane is healthy to start the season, we don't know that yet. Depends if he requires surgery or not. But if he's healthy to start the season, then they're still going to have to clear some cap space. So, because right now, if you take, they don't have to clear a lot because they could run with a 22-man roster like they did last year, right? If you go to cap friendly, they still had Brown on defense and Stetcher. You don't need 8. So you could go with 7 defense, 13 forwards, and 2 goalies. And then if they sign Holloway and they sign Broberg, they're going to be, they still probably have to shed some salary to get everybody under the cap. So there's the latest on the Edmonton Oilers. We'll look to track down Ryan McLeod potentially here. We'll see. Hey guys, I love McLeod's speed, but just way too many flybys in the playoffs. Plus whitewater kayaking is what he likes to watch. Ooh, whitewater kayaking. Okay, good one, Joe Daddy. Guys, I love McLeod. There's not enough sandpaper in his game. If he learns that, he'll be much more valuable. Valid. Right? I look at Buffalo, and Buffalo is going to say, hey, does Ryan McLeod have some elements of the game you don't like? Yes. But he also has some elements of the game are pretty good. So you never want to, we'll see if Matt Savoy becomes an NHL player and plays as often as Ryan McLeod. Like Ryan McLeod kills penalties. He skates very well. He can transport the puck, which is hard to do in the NHL. It's very hard to do. He does it exceptionally well. The things you don't like, sandpaper, totally fair. I think that's valid. At times, I think it might have been overblown a bit. But this is also a little bit of a salary dump here for Edmonton because, Savoy's not helping them this coming season, right? Like that's replenishing their prospect pool a little bit. Well, and a high pick, right? A high pick. But if you look at Buffalo and where they're at, they got a lot of younger skilled forwards. Ryan McLeod's going to go there and he will likely fill in as their third line center or third line left winger. Hey, Gregor, do you think they'll re-sign his brother now? No, I don't. This is not, no offense. Like this is pro hockey. You don't, they didn't qualify him and it wasn't going to be a high qualifying number. They just didn't qualify him. They felt, you know what, we're going to go a different direction. But, and it's nothing personal, right? It is nothing personal. And I'm sure for Matt Savoy, a local kid, hey, you get traded to your hometown. Now, it's always interesting because for a young player, you just want to get established in the league, right? It's great to be in an organization, but right now, there's not a lot of openings in Edmonton. But who knows? Matty Savoy might come here and surprise a lot of people. He'll compete for a job. I'll say this, for a high draft pick, he'll have very little pressure the next few years in Edmonton. When you have McDavid and Draisaitl, there's not going to be pressure that most top 10 picks will feel about needing to really come in and step up things offensively. So that's the advantage he has. For any young guys coming into Edmonton now, there's like Dylan Holloway doesn't have huge pressure. I mean, he was a 14th overall pick. There's not a lot of huge pressure on him. You want him, he'll put some pressure on himself for sure, but there is not going to be a huge amount of pressure from people in even fans to think that Dylan Holloway has to, oh my God, he's a first rounder. He's got to carry us. Well, no, he doesn't. Because most people know he's not going to get the offensive opportunities when you have Draisaitl and Hyman and McDavid, etc. So, Dylan Holloway is a guy who can, I think, just continue to grow, has the advantage of getting shifts in games with some pretty elite players. And Savoy might have that down the road. So if you're just missing it, Ryan McLeod and prospect Ty Tullio have been traded to Buffalo for the former 9th overall pick in 2022, Matt Savoy, coming to his hometown. Quick break. We'll return. Talk about a player who's a franchise player who has come out and said he doesn't want to get traded. He wants to finish his career in his city. We'll talk about it next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The 100% Canadian beef McDonald's Western Barbecue Quarter Pounder is quite the mouthful. So who better to sell it in 30 seconds than a 100% Canadian auctioneer?
Oh, mercy, it's back. 100% Canadian beef, topped with delicious smoky barbecue sauce and bacon. Who wants bacon? We got hickory smoked bacon strips, crispy onions. Who wants pickles? Not one, down better than 2 slices of processed cheddar cheese, served on a toasted sesame seed bun, and it's so for a limited time at participating McDonald's restaurants in Western Canada.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit femalesuperleague.com.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
Mr. Reuter sends his daughter to university.
You're sure you don't want to go to plumbing school?
No, Dad. I want to be a civil engineer so I can plan the sewers.
What a dreamer. I have a surprise. Your dad, Mr. Reuter, is going to pay your tuition.
Oh my gosh, really?
Here you go.
Oh, coins. Why are they so dirty?
Well, it's every coin I ever snaked out of a toilet. You're welcome, sweetheart.
Ugh, for an A-plus plumbing experience, call Mr. Reuter.
The sports world never clocks out. Neither do we. Sports 1440 has you covered with Fox Sports tonight after 9 and all weekend long. So when you're ready to head home, we're warming up again. Sports 1440, bringing you an all-star performance every day.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
There's still time to book your tournament at the Ranch Golf and Country Club.
As one of Alberta's top tourney courses, the Ranch makes hosting fun and easy for any group or business. No matter how unique or unusual, they'll accommodate your vision for an event no one will soon forget.
Start planning your tournament today at their beautifully landscaped course on the outskirts of West Edmonton. On-site event coordinators are here to help, but hurry, availability is limited and booking fast.
Visit theranchgolf.com.
Cruise through summer with a sleek new Mitsubishi from
largest 2024 Mitsubishi inventory in Western Canada,
including the dynamic Outlander PHEV and the sporty Eclipse Cross.
At Cross Mitsubishi, you'll get 0% financing on all our 2024 models, including the RVR and Mirage.
Plus, every Mitsubishi comes with a 10-year, 160,000-kilometer powertrain limited warranty.
Visit Cross Mitsubishi today and drive your ambition.
9605 34th Avenue and crossmitsubishi.ca.
#22. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. If you are just joining us, the Oilers have made a trade. Ryan McLeod moved along with Ty Tullio to the Buffalo Sabres for Matt Savoy, who was the 9th overall pick in the 2022 draft by the Buffalo Sabres. Just finished up his 19-year-old year with the Moose Jaw Warriors. He turned 20 in January, so 19-year-old year, and won the WHL with the Warriors after being traded early in the year. He played just under 40 WHL games last year, and he was averaging over 2 points a game. So I think it's fair to say he's probably accomplished all he needs to do at the junior level, and now that he's 20, he will turn pro full-time this season. He did get into one game with the Buffalo Sabres last year, also spent 6 games in the American League as well. Now, let's get to our baseball report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home to no payments, no interest for 1 full year on your AC unit. It is going to get hot, really hot here for the next 10 days. So plan ahead. If you think it's hot already in your house, you might want to get the AC unit installed today at legacyheating.ca. Now, let's get to the big story, actually. Mike Wilner from Deep Left Field podcast, as well as the Toronto Star, joins us. Been covering the Jays for decades. And Mike, probably not a huge surprise, but Vladdy Guerrero, you cover the team, you know him well. When he says he wants to play in Toronto as long as he can, is that just words? Do you fully believe that's how he feels, and he'd much rather stay there and kind of help the team turn things around than get traded?
Oh yeah, I firmly believe he wants to stay here and finish out his years of control and see what the world of free agency holds for him. But if the Blue Jays come to him with a multi-year offer that works, he would absolutely sign it and stick around. No question about that.
Yeah. So you look at him. What have you seen the difference? Like, I know we can joke and say it's simply when he cut his hair, but man, he is his game's turned around here at the plate the last few weeks.
Yeah, it has. I mean, the power has come back. The hair is the easiest thing to point to, right? But we know that's not it. It's just, things have, I don't know how you explain it, because when you look at his nerd stats, his geek numbers all year long, the hard hit rate, the barrel rate, everything has been fantastic. And so why is the ball jumping out of the park now when it wasn't before? Why is he getting 12 extra base hits in 6 games? Who knows? You want to sort of leave it to the vagaries of the game, but it might be as simple as it's summer and weather's warming up and the ball's carrying a little farther, and it's hot now and it wasn't before. I really don't know, but he's doing all the same things that he was doing. He's just doing them all a little tiny bit better.
This season has been a disappointment, Mike. I think it's fair to say, for the Jays. What are you expecting here leading up to the trade deadline? And how many guys are they going to move, do you think?
I mean, I think it could be as many as 5. It's not going to be blow the doors off, fire sale, everything must go sort of thing at all. It's going to be, I think, a reload, a regroup, because you've still got Bo and Vlad next year. You've still got Gosman and Bassett and Barrios next year. Hopefully Jordan Romano comes back healthy next year. And you've still got the bones of what could be a very, very good team if it's properly augmented next year. Now, of course, they had the bones of a very, very good team that could have been great if properly augmented this year, and it was not properly augmented. So either Ross Atkins or whoever replaces him in the off season is going to have to do that job of augmenting this. But I think unless they go on like a 14-5 tear over the next 20 games, you have to say it's not happening in 2024, and you have to clear the decks of expiring contracts and get what you can to try to help position yourself to be better next year and in the years to come. So when you look at who's going to be a free agent, it's Yusei Kikuchi, Justin Turner, Danny Jansen, Trevor Richards, Jimmy Garcia, who only has value if he comes back and shows that he's healthy, and Kevin Kiermaier. And those guys, I mean, if it were up to me, I would give Danny Jansen a 3-year, $42 million offer right now. But that's not the way this front office seems to operate. They had their chances to sign him long-term, a whole bunch, and did not take advantage. And now it's way too close to go time for him anyway. So I would expect those are the guys who get moved.
The management team, Mike, do you expect them there at the end of the season? Should they be there at the end of the season? Should there be a change made before the trade deadline if they're not going to be there at the end of the season?
When you say the management team,
like GM.
Yeah, I don't expect Ross Atkins to be the general manager after this season, but there's also no point in firing him now. We're 25 days to the trade deadline. Asking someone, if you're going to do a full, thorough, we want the best possible person GM search, that can't be done in 3 weeks. And it can't be done with enough time to get that new person up to speed in order to make the deals that you hope are going to help this team at the deadline. It's just impossible. Even if you say goodbye, Ross, James Click is already in the front office. He's going to take over. Well, so James Click is a different person, but James Click has been the vice president of baseball strategy for this team for the last 2 seasons, where the strategy has backfired. Yeah. So, I don't know if you're really making a change if you just put James Click in, or anyone who's in that current front office. And as long as Mark Shapiro is there, it might not matter anyway, because he's not, a silent voice as far as baseball operations is concerned with this team. So, no, I don't expect Ross Atkins to keep his job after this season, because this is the time when the Blue Jays were supposed to be peaking.
Yep.
And instead they've gotten worse every season since 2021. And that's not how, 9 years in, you get to keep a job as a GM. But I don't expect it to happen before the deadline.
What about Shapiro? Do you think he'll be back?
Yeah. He's accomplished the things that he came here to accomplish, aside from on the field. He got the renovations done at the ballpark. He got a state-of-the-art facility put in in Dunedin. So I think Rogers likes him. I think he speaks their language, and he's done a really good job with them to just get them to give the team money and keep their hands off. It just hasn't gone well on the field. So I think it depends on what Edward Rogers and the board values. And again, he came in and he got the things done on the business side that he said he was going to get done. I don't know that there's anything more for him to accomplish at this point other than, winning some playoff games. But I don't know how important that is to the executive office as far as the president of the team is concerned. So I think he's back if he wants to be back.
All right. Looking at just the AL, you talk about the guys you thought earlier that might get dealt. Mike, do you see, and I know that's still 3 weeks away and lots can change, but do you see any realistic destinations for some of the Jays players?
No, to be honest, I haven't really thought about that stuff. I don't know that it matters. There are very, very few good teams in the major leagues this season. I think the last time I looked at the National League, there were only 6 teams in the league over 500.
Yeah.
And that's helped the Blue Jays because they're chasing teams that also stink. So, nobody's good enough to be running away with anything. But teams are going to be looking to augment. Baltimore wants help in the bullpen. Obviously, everybody always wants help in the bullpen. There's nobody who can't use the playoff-tested Justin Turner. Catching is a really weak position across the game, but obviously the Orioles aren't looking for a catcher. Atlanta's not looking for a catcher. The Mets aren't looking for a catcher. If they find, if they believe themselves to be back in the race. Everybody's always looking for starting pitching. You don't need, there are teams who are like, we need help at second base. And there are teams who are, we have a great second baseman. There's no team who says we couldn't use another really good starting pitcher. So Yusei Kikuchi could potentially go anywhere. And there's no team that couldn't use a phenomenal defensive fourth outfielder. So Kevin Kiermaier could go anywhere. Although the Blue Jays aren't going to be getting any team's finest meats and cheeses for any of these guys. I think Kikuchi probably has the chance to bring back the biggest haul, and even that is not going to be, a franchise-changing young player or anything like that.
Mike Wilner joins us. Mike, the Jays themselves, still on paper, I look at their roster and I'm like, they should be better, right? Like, I guess, anything could happen. You can get on a hot streak. But when you look at where they're at right now, do you have is there, maybe you can't pinpoint one or two things, but do you agree with me? This team should be better. And why do you think they've underachieved to this point?
The team should have been better. There's no question. But I wrote an article in the Toronto Star today that talked about the current state of the bullpen. And right now, the team's where it is because the bullpen is terrible.
Yeah. And
you can't win with a bad bullpen. You just can't. They can't keep close games close, and they can't shut down close games either. If you're going to win, you got to win 9-2, 9-3, which is what their wins have looked like lately. But that is the current issue with the state of the team, is that 4 of their 5 best relievers last year are not here. Jordan Romano is hurt, Jimmy Garcia is hurt, and Eric Swanson and Tim Meza are gone because they had terrible seasons. So you've got Chad Green and really nobody. And once you get to that point where you're trying to keep games close, you're trying to hold leads with Nate Pearson and Zach Pop and Genesis Cabrera. Look, it was a Tuesday night's game against Houston it was Wednesday night's game against Houston. Sorry, was 2-2 going into the 7th inning, and the Astros won 9-2. They played the Yankees Friday night. They were down 4-3 in the 6th, and they went to the bullpen and they lost 16-5.
Yeah.
So it is impossible to win with a bullpen that's this unreliable right now, and at the same time, they're in this hole where they're too far out of the race to really make it worth giving up anything to make the bullpen better, because early in the season, George Springer started terribly, Bo Bichette started terribly, Justin Turner went missing for an entire month, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. only had 4 home runs to the first third of the season. They weren't scoring any runs. So, as much as people have said over the course of this year with the lack of offense until very recently, it's just a repeat of last season's underachieving offense. It's not true. It was so much worse. Last year it felt like they couldn't score any runs, but they were still 14th in the major leagues in run scoring. This year they're like 26th. So those are the two things. The offense so bad, dug them a huge hole. Now the bullpen's all beat up, and they can't win games and they can't fix it.
Mike, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in Toronto over the next few weeks. But we have lots of people texting. They're excited to hear at least the GM will be moving on, most likely, because as you outlined, this is when they were supposed to be getting competitive, and they seem to be getting farther away from competitiveness every year, which is very odd. Mike, great stuff, man. We appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Always happy to be with you. Thank you.
There you go. That is Mike Wilner, Longtime Jays reporter, writes at the Star. Of course, also has the Deep Left Field podcast. And if you're a Jays fan, it's not a lot to be excited about. We got loads and loads of texts flying in. 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, my wife and I leave for San Fran on Monday to see the Jays. How long will John Schneider be around? Seems to be on shaky ground. I'd rather upper management goes. Yeah, I saw it the other day. There was a report how Schneider is one of the most liked managers around, and everyone's like, from the other teams, because they have. But look, when you don't have a bullpen, what are you supposed to do? Now, I'm not saying that John Schneider's the answer, and if you bring in a new GM, my gut instinct would be he's probably not going to be here. But you can let him go now. Is that going to make their bullpen better? Probably not. Like John Schneider was here. Now Vladdy's suddenly hitting like he's supposed to be. He's still here, right? Like, I don't know. You can't just finger point at one guy. I'm not saying that he's not an issue, but I would think he might finish out the season. And then they'll let the new GM probably come in and bring in the guy that he wants. That's usually how it goes. We got a lot of texts. Everybody's wondering about the Ryan McLeod trade. So we'll recap it. It's McLeod and Tullio for Matt Savoy. Hey, guys, why would Buffalo make this trade? Savoy's a really good prospect. They couldn't gotten away way more from him, couldn't they? Great trade by the Oil. Jackson is killing it from the Bacon King. Well, obviously, Buffalo is, what? People are going to question it because he's a 9th overall pick, right? They're going to say, it's a 9th overall pick. But I was like 9th overall 2 years later means very little. Like, that's just where you're drafted. And, Buffalo looks and says, we're a team that they want to become more competitive this year. And so maybe they look and say, hey, you know what? Do we think Matt Savoy was going to beat out anybody in our top 6? I'm guessing they said no. And they're like, we got to, if you're Kevin Adams, you got to make the playoffs. You want to get in. And like Matt Savoy is a dominant junior player. Like when you're 2 points a game in junior, like, trust me, this guy is a very creative offensive player. But Buffalo, I don't know, maybe they didn't like his size. Maybe they feel, well, we're not sure at his size if he can take the next step to the NHL. I have to think that's what they're thinking. They also feel like, hey, Ryan McLeod, we're going to bring in a player who went to the Stanley Cup final, scored 3 goals, by the way, in the Stanley Cup final. Like, Ryan McLeod isn't, I know people only want to look at what he doesn't do, but there's lots of things he does do well, right? He'll help their penalty kill, right? He'll give them some speed in their bottom 6. I'm assuming it's like Thompson and Cousins are their top 2 centers, no question. Right? They brought in McLeod. They brought in Lafferty. They brought in Beck Mallenstein. They've changed, Zucker now too. Like, they've almost changed their entire bottom 6 in Buffalo. And I think they looked and said, we've got Dylan Cousins and Tage Thompson. We don't see where Matt Savoy fits in. That's what I'm guessing. And we'll find out in the future if that was the right guess for them or the wrong one. Now, the Oilers have 2 pretty good centers in Draisaitl and McDavid. Now, the advantage is I look at Matt Savoy, and he's a gifted offensive player. I'm going to be curious to see where he plays. Does he play center or wing in Bakersfield? I'm going to assume he's in Bakersfield. It's not a guarantee. It doesn't have to be. Lots of guys can get in the NHL. But like if he was in Buffalo, I think he probably is an NHL player because they don't have as deep as a lineup as Edmonton. But now you come to a team that went to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. It's different for a 20-year-old prospect. Right? Dylan Holloway, who was a 9th overall pick, he didn't jump in right away and be a regular every night in the National Hockey League. Right? It doesn't happen that way. So, he came in and he came in 22, 23 last year. Played 50? Was it 50 games? 55? I got to look up the number. But and he's a bigger, faster player, but I don't think he's as naturally gifted offensively as Matt Savoy. So it's a good question. We're going to Cons tracking someone down. We're going to get somebody from Buffalo to explain why the Sabres would make this trade. What's their reasoning here? It's very interesting, right? Because there's 2 sides, right? Edmonton fans are like, hey, you got a local kid who's a dynamic offensive player. He just won the Western League. He averaged 2 points a game. Woo! He's a really skilled, talented player. No question. And Ryan McLeod. Now, as I've always said, if you only focus on what McLeod didn't do, you're going to miss. He did a lot of things well. And he might be better as a winger than a center. We'll see. But he can fly, right? Like After McDavid, was he the second fastest order? Probably. Definitely the second fastest transporting the puck. I don't think there's any question about that. He also, yes, there's a lot of flybys. He's not overly physical. But that's not, and I always tell people, like, you can yell and scream and want a guy to be physical, but if he's never been physical, you're kind of wasting your breath. Like, he's not going to change that much. It's just who he is as a player. So then you focus on what he does well. And obviously the organization felt like, you know what? We've got Adam Henrique now for 2 years. We've got our top 3 centers. We've got Dylan Holloway. They brought in Jeff Skinner. They've got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. They got Evander Kane. They probably feel like they have too many top. Like, Ryan McLeod at $2.1 million was kind of a luxury to have in case of injuries. But when you're up against a cap, sometimes you got to get rid of it, right? So Savoy obviously doesn't have a 2.1 cap hit. He's on an entry-level deal and probably starts in the minors. So this frees up a little bit of cap space for the Oilers. Quick break. When we come back, we are into Olympic month. We are exactly 3 weeks away from the Olympics, and we'll talk about it next on The Gregor Show with a gold medalist on PlayAlberta.ca.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Your Edmonton Riverhawks salute Edmonton's first responders.
Positive Friday. Here we go. Hey, Gregor, Wager, better buckle up for this.
Positive Friday continues on. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, and Sports 1440, Oilers Nation YouTube. We have lots of people texting in. Guys, Jeff Jackson's killing it. I'm questioning how this is a good move for Buffalo. We now have cap space and have a good young local prospect coming back. I don't know if they have cap space. The Oilers had no cap space. This just gets them now because if you look at their roster even today with removing Ryan McLeod's 2.1, they're now at 400K over, but that's with the 23-man roster. So if you take off the $1 million from Brown, they're cap compliant, but they still have to sign Holloway and Broberg. So the Oilers don't have new cap space here, people. All they're doing is getting closer to being cap compliant. I think we have to word that correctly. They're getting closer to being cap compliant is what this move does for the Edmonton Oilers. And it gives them, a good young prospect who had an unbelievable year as a 19-year-old in the WHL this past season, split between Wenatchee and Moose Jaw, where Matt Savoy and the Warriors won their first ever Western Hockey League championship. So that's quite the thrill. So we'll look for that. Now let's get to our big guest of the day. Hey, it's 3 weeks away exactly today from the Olympics, and it's our big guest is brought to you by Silent Rides Charter Company. State-of-the-art motor coaches that will safely take you or your group to your next destination. So book your ride. You're on a ride in comfort and style for this year, for your team, upcoming season. Go to silentrides.ca. Gold medalist 20 years ago. Well, it's officially coming up in August, which will be 20 years ago. Or did you win? I can't remember when your race was. It was the end of July, Lorianne, or was it officially in August? What day was it when you won the gold medal in 2024? As Lorianne Munzer joins us.
When everything changed was August 24th.
Was that late that year?
Yes. Yeah.
Really? Because so the Olympics, they started that late? Really? Okay. Because this year they're starting July 26th and they end on August 11th.
Yes.
So so you were near the end of the Olympic run. You were in the second week, right? When you won?
To be honest, I don't remember.
You don't? Well,
I don't remember.
You remember the date though? That's good enough.
Yep. Well, it was actually 3 days because it was spanned over 3 days of racing.
Yeah.
It wasn't just one day.
No, but do you win the gold on the last day?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. But you're right. It's a fair point because you can't win the gold if you're not there on day one and you're not winning on day two. It's totally valid, right? It's
exactly.
Like the orders, everyone's, second round doesn't matter. Oh, yeah, it does because you can't get to fourth round.
Well, it's sort of like getting to game 7.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the Olympics comes around. It's 20 years for you. And I don't know why we are as a society, but we like round number milestones are just, a little bit better. Like 4 years ago, it's 16 years, but maybe it's not as big of a deal as 20 years for whatever reason. But we're 3 weeks away. For most athletes, are you already in Paris or, in the same time zone in Europe? When do most athletes start to get there? Is 3 weeks too early? What's the plan for the Olympians?
All depends. All depends on where you're coming from.
Okay.
The other thing is all depends on when are your events or
Right.
when is your event, because some events are just one.
Right.
Some are multiple days. And typically what you do is you reverse engineer it. You work it backwards. So, because you've got to have the periodization, which is the planning, the physical
Okay.
part is really huge, but there's also the mental aspect, which you can do anywhere, anytime, any place. But it's working it backwards that way. I went in and did a training camp in Hyères, France, like in the south of France, where it was hot, it was warm. It was only a 1 hour time difference versus 8 hours from Edmonton to Greece. And the reason for that was to acclimatize, like body-wise, temperature-wise. It was so hot in France. It was unbelievable. It was actually hotter in France than it was in Greece, which was really good because then it was a lot easier to deal with the heat.
Okay.
But we had 2 weeks of preparation, and then it was about a week time because I had 2 events. I had the 500, standing 500 meter, half a kilometer, which was 5 days before I won. So I raced. That for me was the opener. That was the test. That was the test to find out how ready was I. It was an individual event, 2 laps around the track. That's it. That's
And
all.
how'd you do?
I think I got 7th.
Okay.
It was great. It
Yeah.
was exactly where I needed to be. And it was like, okay, we're right on schedule. A day off, and then we had the first of 3 days of racing. And you go through qualification, then you go through the 1/16 finals, which is a one shot. You win, you advance to the next round.
Mhm.
If you don't, then you go through the repechage, which is the losers round.
Yes.
Then it's the 1/8 finals, which again is a one shot.
Yeah.
And then quarters, semis, and finals are the best 2 out of 3. So like you really can't mess up.
So you come in and it's so crazy how 4 years of training, and I know there's world championships, but everybody's a 4-year cycle if you're an Olympic athlete, and it's 4 years, and you don't want to get sick. There's so much stuff that goes on to it at different times, and now this might be a hard, but I've always been curious about this. So when it comes to a lot of the female athletes, there's men and women are different. We don't have a period, and so how much is that a factor for female athletes?
It all depends. I loved it because I was just even more of an animal. I was just more physical. That's the way it was. It was like, you feel like crap, but it affects everybody differently. For me, it was like every time that year, Jason, I was racing, it was like, boom, okay, period time. And I knew I was going to win.
Mm-hmm. Now the sprint is how long again?
3 laps.
3 laps. But what's the distance of that 3 laps? Do you know?
If it's on a 250-meter track,
So
it's 750.
Yeah.
If it's on a 333 track, it's a kilometer.
So what track was it?
It was a 250. So Olympic track
Olympic tracks are always 750?
250.
Yeah, but 750 is the total distance. Right?
Yeah, but
3 laps?
it's always only 3 laps. Sprinting is always 3 laps.
Yeah.
A kilo is, if it's on a 250-meter track, it's 4 laps.
Yeah.
500 is 2 laps. But if it's on Edmonton's track, the original one from the 78 Commonwealth Games, it's 1.5 laps.
So when you're doing like at the World Championships, is the track the exact same distance as an Olympic track for the sprint? Always?
Typically, yes. But it can be a little different shape. It can be a little different geometry.
Okay, which in a way probably makes it good.
Mhm.
You don't want it. You got to adapt, right? You learn different things. So for the athletes who get in there, and I don't know if I've ever asked you about this, but so when you won the gold medal, like I know you went to the opening ceremonies in 2000. You didn't go in 2004 because in 2000, like, hey, I'm happy to be here, and I'm Olympian. This is great. I want to test myself, see where I'm at. But you didn't have aspirations of being on the podium in 2000.
Sure, I did.
Yeah.
But the reality was no.
Yeah. Okay. Well, fair. So realistic aspirations. Maybe that's a better word. Right.
Yep.
But in 2004, you came in, you were one of the favorites. People thought, okay, like Lori-Ann Munzer can legitimately win a gold medal. It's not going to be like, oh my God, where did she come from?
It was the latter. It was, oh my God, where did she come from?
Really? You're that much of an underdog?
Well, being 38, yeah.
Okay, your age, but you had raced really well though leading up to it, had you not?
I did. Yeah. But I'm one of those athletes that gets better and better and better and better with the time, with the races.
Yeah.
It's like,
because you weren't ranked top 10 going in?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So to me, that's not a super shock.
But I don't think you're considered serious. Like you are considered serious, but you're not a threat. That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay.
So you're not a threat.
So now, did you tell yourself that as motivation? Because people don't think I'm a threat. I'm going to show them. Like, were you like a Michael Jordan need? Like, I'm going to find someone who doesn't, and that's what I'm going to use as motivation, or no?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
No, I just knew. I planned. I prepared. I did everything in my power and my ability. I got hurt. I got sick. I'm a human, but it was just, I had the vision, and that is what I played, and I played, and I played, and I played. I could do it backwards. I could do it forwards. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in next week, and I'll show you. I have a moleskin book where I wrote out every athlete that I was up against. What were their strengths? What were their weaknesses?
A scouting report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's my little moleskin book. And it's just, I even drew out my qualifying 3 laps. The flying 200.
Yeah, you're big into visualization. I can see how it works. It makes a lot of sense.
It works every time.
Yeah.
Your self-image works every time. I couldn't go in just as an Albertan, as a cyclist, as a track rider. I had to go in as an Olympic gold medalist. That was what I visualized over and over and over again. Because whatever you think about and whatever you see is what you bring about. And that's work, that's business, that's life, that's with kids, that's with families, everything.
Yeah. Lori-Ann Munzer joins us. Now, after you won, you weren't at the closing ceremonies. There was some safety concerns and fine. So you come back. How instant of a change was it being a gold medalist at the Summer Olympics? And like, what was the most noticeable change in your life, did you find? Like, was it overwhelming?
Yes. Yeah, there is so much going on. I have no idea to this day who was coordinating my schedule. It was just, Well, I was met at the airport with 400 people. It was like downstairs was a sea of people. Upstairs was a sea of people.
Did you know any of these people?
I knew a lot of them, but
Oh,
I couldn't
okay.
get to them
Okay.
because there were so many people. There was the media, like everybody showed up at the airport, and somebody photographed like what was going on and dropped off photos where I used to work. And I was looking going, oh my gosh, Anna was there. Some of my coworkers, some of my friends that I didn't get to see were there. Somebody flew in my sister and my 2 nephews.
Oh, wow.
Jason, like, I don't know how that was coordinated.
Somebody just bought him a flight ticket to go in.
I think friends of mine somewhere,
Oh,
maybe from
okay.
Toronto. Like, that was so cool. It was just like, okay, I just had to show up. And I wasn't allowed to go home for the first 2 days because people weren't sure about, security, safety. Like, if people were
Really?
going to show up at my house. Yeah. I had an event, and a limo service picked us up there. I think there was about 20 of my friends, and people started like getting out of their cars and coming over. And then they realized what was going on. This is outside of my little house. I'm in Old Strathcona. And it was like, okay, I had no clothes because my luggage got lost. And I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do? So Roots was a sponsor of the Canadian team. So I called up Roots because I was put up in
Just
by
a hotel?
Edmonton Center. No, by Edmonton Center. And Roots used to have a store location.
Yeah.
So I called up the store because I was supposed to be going to CBC to do an interview. And I'm like, hi, Lorianne Munzer, Olympic gold medalist. I have no clothes. I can't go home. Can I come in and get some clothes? And they were just laughing. They thought it was a prank. And I'm like, no. I had 2 security guards escort me, my sister, and my 2 nephews to the store so I could get some clothes. And then I was taken through the underground of the hotels because I was put up in Sutton Place Hotel. And then I was taken through the underground and then came up through CBC.
I didn't even think that there's like security issues I didn't even cross my mind.
I had 2 security guards.
For how long? For this?
Well, for that day in the event. And
Okay.
that, yeah.
And then, so when you finally were able to go back to your house, did you ever have like a stalker fan?
I've had a couple. Yeah. I've had a couple.
Really?
And I've had somebody show up at work and I got very angry. Yeah,
that's fair.
And it was never a problem after that.
Okay.
So
now what, like fan stalkers, are they just like big fans and just like, oh, I'm a really big fan? Are they like creepy? What happens?
One was really creepy and that's when I got really angry.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh.
And it's all good.
Yeah.
So I've had my wrist dislocated from somebody who was so excited they were shaking my hand. Oh yeah, like just people are just like, wah! And it always makes me laugh. It always makes me smile. I have this crazy ability. I can usually remember where I met people, what event it was, if they can give me a couple clues.
Yeah. So for a lot of those athletes, now you look back on that, and because you were big into visual preparation. Hey, I'm an Olympic gold medalist. I'm an Olympic gold medalist. In hindsight, should you and your group have said, maybe we should prepare? I should have called an Olympic gold medalist. Like, what should I expect if I win? Like in hindsight?
Oh, totally.
Is that something any of these athletes who go there that are competing, because some people might say, well, you don't want to get ahead of yourself, but I don't know if it's just you're preparing yourself for the possibility.
Exactly. There's 2 things I would do different. I only thought about winning. That's it. I never had a B plan or a C plan or a D plan. I never thought about what would happen or transpire if I didn't win. That wasn't an option. And I think looking back, I would do it. I would write it out. Like, what would I do? What would I do to celebrate, being at the Olympics, giving my best performance? And then what's next? I never did what's next after I crossed the finish line. I only saw to the finish line and there after it because I didn't want to jinx myself.
Yeah.
And that's a bad superstition, but it's one I should have met head on and dealt with it. I should have taken some time off afterwards to go, okay, Munzer, what are you doing? What are you thinking about? What do you want to do? How do you want this to unfold? Because I tell you, Jason, you get on it and it's the fastest ride you have ever done. I've been escorted in and out of buildings. This calendar and the schedule just goes crazy if you're trying to train. I was trying to train as well, which was a really dumb idea, but
because you had the World Championships right after, did you not?
The whole season moved early because it was World Championships was a qualifier to get to the Olympics, but then they moved the schedule from starting in February to start in November, which is like crazy.
Yeah.
So there's no break, there's no rest period, there's
Yeah,
no
that's
mental
kinda
break,
weird.
physical break.
Yeah.
And I just figured I could do it. So you just get
So
on.
you
and
should have
go.
taken a break.
I should have taken a break.
It's always easy in hindsight. We learn from stuff, and it's a way to
Yeah.
go. Well, that's great. Look, we're going to be doing a lot of Olympic chat here leading up because we're 3 weeks out. And so we'll see the Moleskin book next week. So we look forward to that. Always good to have you in studio. Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
That's Lori Ann Munzer, 20 year. Well, it'll be next month, 20 years, where she won the sprint at the Olympics. Gold medalist, the first Canadian gold medalist in the sprint for women. Pretty sure, no? For cycling, yeah. Let's get to the con man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by High Street Insurance. Hey, maybe Lorianne could have called them back in the day. Ensure everything's covered for that, just in case you got a big celebration. Do you insure your Olympic gold medal? Hey, they can insure anything at High Street Insurance. Well, Lorianne's not in her head. Yes, of course, you insure your gold medal from the Olympics. I think you would. But High Street Insurance, they will insure and help out your business to make sure you have the best possible coverage. HighStreetInsurance.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers have traded forward Ryan McLeod to the Buffalo Sabres in exchange for Matthew Savoy. Savoy was selected 9th overall in the 2022 draft, appearing in one NHL game so far. He's played the majority of the season last year with the Moose Jaw Warriors, registering 19 goals and 28 assists for 47 points in 23 games. And from the association, Orlando Magic forward Franz Wagner has agreed to a 5-year, $224 million rookie contract extension, a deal that could become worth as much as $269 million. Wagner is eligible to earn 30% of the team's salary cap should he get voted to an all-NBA team. In the CFL, Week 5 rolls on tonight. You got Ottawa in Winnipeg taking on the Bombers. Kickoff at 6:30. Major League Baseball, the Blue Jays kick off a weekend series in Seattle. 7:40 first pitch in that one. One final from earlier today had the Cubs knocking off the Angels 5-1. Tonight, Copa America. Canada takes on Venezuela from AT&T Stadium down in Texas. That starts at 7 o'clock. Right now, Euro action in extra time. Portugal and France are scoreless. Earlier today, Spain gets past Germany 2-1 in extra time, scoring in the 125th minute. The Edmonton Riverhawks kicking off a weekend series against Kamloops down at Remax Field tonight. First pitch set for 7:05, and the Stingers in action tonight. They host Vancouver. Then on Sunday, they'll take on the Brampton Honey Badgers. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Lance Lazowski, Buffalo Sabres reporter with the Buffalo News. Also, Vegas Golden Knights reporter Danny Webster and Edmonton Stingers GM Steve Vogel. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
The 100% Canadian beef McDonald's Western Barbecue Quarter Pounder is quite the mouthful. So, who better to sell it in 30 seconds than a 100% Canadian auctioneer?
Oh, mercy, it's back. 100% Canadian beef, topped with delicious smoky barbecue sauce and bacon. Who wants bacon? We got hickory smoked bacon strips, crispy onions. Who wants pickles? Not one down, better than 2 slices of processed cheddar cheese, served on a toasted sesame seed bun, and did so for a limited time at participating McDonald's restaurants in Western Canada.
Rule number 12, not spending the afternoon tubing on the Pembina. Next, you'll tell us you don't wear flannel. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
For over 65 years, Denim Ford has been the trusted heart of Central Alberta. We're not just a dealership, we're a tradition of honesty and excellence with honest pricing and genuine service. We've proudly earned Canada's only 51-time President's Award for Customer Satisfaction. Join our extended family and experience the Denim Ford difference. Whether on the Wetaskiwin Auto Mile or online at denimford.ca, your journey to trust and excellence starts with us. Denim Ford, driving tradition forward.
Diablo Boots has been open for business for 60 years. selling Canadian-made quality boots. Diablo has Canada West work, biker, and cowboy boots with fixable soles and heels. So why buy boots like Ariat, Justin, or Red Wing that are made in China? Get your money's worth with Diablo's Canada West tough, comfortable work boots. So save on boots by Save On Foods, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. And does Diablo sell the best boots in town? You betcha.
Hey, Lance, Connor here from Jason Gregor Show in Edmonton. How are you doing today? Oh, I'm not too bad. You can hop on here with Jason for a minute. Okay. Perfect. Thanks so much for doing this.
Just after 3 o'clock. Welcome back. It's Pause of Friday on Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Hope you're having a wonderful day. It's hot outside, baby. And it's going to be really hot for the next week. So get on the sunscreen, get a hat on, hydrate. Right, don't leave your pets in the car. And if you want to stay cool, go to playalberta.ca. How about this? Because you could jet away wherever you wanted to. $40 million, Lotto Max at playalberta.ca. The text line is fired up, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our inbox. And of course, lots of it has to do with the trade. Ryan McLeod has been traded along with Ty Tullio to the Buffalo Sabres. In exchange, the Edmonton Oilers acquire the 9th overall pick from the 2022 NHL entry draft. Matthew Savoy, of course, a proud product of St. Albert, Alberta, and did play for the Crusaders, albeit very briefly in the 2021 season. Then spent 2 years with the Winnipeg Ice. Last year, he started with the Wenatchee Wild because, of course, Winnipeg moved to Wenatchee. He had 11 goals in 11 games, 24 points. Not bad numbers. Over 2 points a game. And then got traded to Moose Jaw, where he continued to average 2 points a game, 19 goals, 47 points in 23 games. And then in the playoffs, helped Moose Jaw win their first ever WHL championship. He turned 20 in January, so this is his 20-year-old season. He'll start his entry-level deal. I would expect he'll be playing pro this year and not going back to junior. We've looked at it. We know what Ryan McLeod is as a player and what he's going to do. We'll find out what's the reasoning maybe behind Buffalo wanting to make this deal. As we go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. And man, it's this hot outside. You got two options. You can get the $1 cone or stop in. You've only got another week left to get the strawberry cheesecake McFlurry. It's delicious. Try it now. Only at McDonald's. From the Buffalo News beat reporter for the Sabres, Lance Wazowski joins us. Lance, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, busy Friday in July, not less. So.
Yeah. You know what? That's how it goes, especially in a hockey mad market. Everyone's fired up to talk about the trade. So give me your thoughts on what you thought of the trade. Were you expecting this? Were they looking for a third line center? They've revamped their whole bottom six. I think Greenway's the only guy left from last year who's in their bottom six pretty much.
Yeah. They wanted to revamp their bottom six completely. They brought in Beck Mallenstein in a trade from Washington, signed Sam Lafferty. They brought in Jason Zucker, who could slot in the third line. Nicholas Ablé-Kubel. They needed another guy who can win faceoffs. This team was 32nd in the league last year. They've been near the bottom of the league since Eichel and Reinhart and, that core group has left. Mm-hmm. And, as much as they really believe in Peyton Krebs still, they needed somebody more established, more experienced. to really fill in that hole that they created by trading Casey Middlestad. You know, you look at McLeod, also left-handed, wins face-off. Like, he brings a lot of what they had in Middlestad. You know, 24 years old, an RFA next summer, so somebody they have some team control on. And Savoy, as much as they love this kid from an intangible standpoint, he is as competitive as they come. He's so fast, but they saw him slotting in on the wing in Rochester. They're so deep down the middle that they felt like, you know, this is a surplus that they can deal from here. And I'm sure it was a tough one to make because I know how much they like Savoy, but McLeod is certainly a player that fits with what they're looking for.
Matty Savoy, like, he's only 2 years removed, just over 2 years from being the 9th overall selection in the NHL entry draft. He's a 2-point-a-game player, a junior this past season. Why'd they give up him?
A lot of injuries. He's been banged up seemingly since the moment that they picked him. You know, he had a bothersome shoulder the summer of the 22 draft when they picked him. That caused him to not really have an off season. He dealt with more injuries. He had a knee sprain that knocked him out of World Juniors. He had elbow and shoulder injuries at the rookie tournament back in September. He just ran into another guy, and that cost him a spot in the NHL roster. I mean, if Savoy doesn't get hurt, then he's making the NHL roster. Zach Benson goes back to junior, and who knows what player we're talking about today. But it's just been a combination of factors. He's really good. He had a heck of a year. He's going to go ahead and play in the American League. He wants to be in the National League. He feels like he's ready for the NHL. The only thing that's holding him back in my mind, Jason, is just physically. I just think he needs more time to get stronger and really, you know, as a 5'9" guy, like, he's got to be able to win those puck battles and be able to get to the middle of the ice to score.
Interesting. You know, young guy, it seems like they're taking a little bit of a risk here. If the only thing they don't like about him is that he's injury prone, like, what if he gets healthy suddenly, right? That's obviously the concern for them.
Exactly. And you look at what they have on the wing in the NHL right now, they're all players that this organization pretty much believes in. You look at Zach Benson, JJ Peterka, Jack Quinn, Alex Tuck, like, that's your top six, you know, and you add Zach Benson to that group. There's a few other prospects. Yuri Kulik might end up on the wing. This team has a lot of prospects. Anton Wahlberg just came over. He's a second-round pick last year. So they feel like, well, we really need more of a bottom six guy, and they've got to make the playoffs this year. It's been 13 years. If they miss out again with all the changes, including the Jeff Skinner buyout, we all know what's going to happen at that point.
Oh, well, yeah. The Skinner buyout, I'm kind of perplexed by it. They have so much cap space. What was the rush to do it? Simply because they didn't feel a spot for him? Like, why was he such a need to buy out at this point?
He was really bad from January on. Bad turnover, the type of mistakes on a night in and night out basis that would get you scratched by a playoff team. It was momentum killing stuff, you know, and you can put up with Jeff Skinner not defending in certain situations or not being physical, not getting on the forecheck, but he still has to have detail in his game. Like, you still can't force that cross-ice pass a minute into the game. It becomes a turnover, odd man rush, and you're down 1-0. They looked at the rest of their top six, the way that Lindy Ruff wants them to play, and the whole focus is on being harder to play against. Well, when you have 5 other really young kids on your team, you know, at some point it's tough to find a role for Skinner. If you think, you know, Jack Quinn's got to be here, JJ Peterka, that's a weakness in his game. You know, a lot of the weaknesses we see in Skinner, you see some of it in Peterka in terms of back checking, detail defensively. So you really can't put up with too many guys who are playing that way on a night in and night out basis. But I'm with you, Jason. I mean, to pay that buyout and not spend that money on more of a sure thing, you know, whether that be a trade or free agency, like Jason Zucker, you know, you just lost a 30-goal scorer. I don't know that Jason Zucker at this stage of his career is somebody who could fill that void. So they're just hoping it happens internally with Jack Quinn staying healthy, and they still have a lot of prospects after a trade like today's.
I look at the Sabre. How much pressure do you feel is on that? Or, like, I look at this one and they're like, okay, we really need a third line center. And, you know, Kevin Adams, I don't think he has enough. Like, if they don't make the playoffs this year, I'm guessing then he's done as a GM, right? So do you kind of get a sense that there's a little bit of urgency for them to, you know, Matt Savoy might not have helped them in the NHL level. So, you know what, they'll take a risk that he does it somewhere else in the future, but they needed to win this year, or at least when I would say win enough to get to the playoffs.
Absolutely. The focus is on this year. He didn't want to go about this in a way where you push too many of your chips into the middle of the table, but this is the type of move where it hurts to do it up front, but they feel like it's a player they're not going to be able to add in any other scenario, whether it be a trade or free agency for anything less than what Matt Savoy can bring the Oilers at this point. So, yeah, I mean, you think about it, like a year ago, the Sabres were so happy with 91 points, just missed the playoffs. Look at all these prospects. Look at how much money they're going to have to spend. All these guys, they have their core, but impatience inevitably sets in for any owner when their wallet takes a hit. And if you miss the playoffs for 13 years, tickets are hard to sell. Merchandise is hard to sell. And, with business factors considered, this team has to get in. Yeah, it's really difficult to be in the green if you're not in the playoffs. Think about doing it for 13 years in a row and spending to the cap. So, yeah, that's why I think we're not seeing them spend to the cap, and they're doing some more win now moves this offseason, which they should have done a year ago.
You mentioned Peyton Krebs earlier. Lance Lazowski joins us. He was a 17th overall pick in 2019, and he hasn't really taken a step yet to where they thought he would be. Where's his game at? What do you like? Where do they see needs improvement for him?
He's going to be an NHL player for a long time. I'm confident in saying that. I think the question that remains, it is open, is where is he going to fit? What is your role going to be in the NHL? He was a really good fourth line center 2 seasons ago. He was with Okposo and Gergensons. They were among the best in the league in limiting shot quality. But last year, Okposo has to move up at times. They tried Krebs on the wing. They move him around a little bit, and it didn't work out for him. He isn't shooting the puck enough, probably trying to be too creative and not really relying on that direct, hard instincts that he had started to develop. So he's competitive as heck. He's somebody that you just know Lindy Ruff is gonna love him. And hey, if he ends up being a really good fourth line center, Stanley Cup winning teams need those. It's still value. It's just a matter of this coach, this staff is going to have to figure out where is Peyton Krebs slot in. Because the shot hasn't developed to where it needs to for him to score. And you just haven't seen the playmaking yet. But I also, Jason, they really haven't given him a good look. I mean, 1 month at the end of the season after the Middlestad trade on a team that was really fighting it is not the best way to evaluate how a player fits. So I do think the McLeod move, it still allows some room there that if Krebs can win a competition in camp and prove, hey, I could be the third line center, the door is still open for him to where it's going to be the lineup can change night in, or just depending on the matchup, home or road.
Yeah, we saw Ryan McLeod in Edmonton, and some of his best hockey came when he played on the wing. Now, of course, he was playing with Leon Draisaitl at times, and now Dylan Cousins and Tage Thompson. Those are two pretty good centers. Do you think there's a chance could McLeod battle Zach Benson or JJ Peterka for a top 6 left wing spot?
Of course, if that's how, and that's what I know attracted them to McLeod is the versatility, because as much as they would love for Zach Benson to improve the shot and add that strength factor to his game this summer to be able to play in the top 6, but if he can't, hey, slot him down the third line, fewer minutes, more defensive responsibilities at times, and it frees up another playmaker you add up on your first or second line. And that's it. I mean, when you look at what their lineup was like and built under Granato, the players that he wanted, the identity he wanted, it was very limiting as a coach when you're thinking of a matchup perspective, because you have a lot of younger players. How are you protecting them? How are you sheltering them? And adding another guy like McLeod who's more responsible and does some different things is going to help them out tremendously, I would think.
Lance Lazowski joins us talking about the trade today. The Edmonton Oilers have traded Ryan McLeod and prospect Ty Tullio to the Buffalo Sabres in exchange for Carter Savoy. And, Tullio is a small guy who's really never, found much footing at the American League level. He's got 26 and 21 points. He comes into Buffalo. I don't know if that's just an added number on the roster, but how is Buffalo? You mentioned their farm system. We know they got some young goalies, and is there anybody else amongst their young guys? Because they had a lot of high picks lately that you think could push for a roster spot this year who weren't there last year?
Yuri Kulik and the kid they just picked 14th overall the other day, Konsta Helenius. Okay. I think that Kulik to me is far and above everybody because he has NHL strength. He has an NHL shot. The question is, can he play the wing in the NHL? I think he slots in better at center because of the speed. He'll have more room to operate. The creativity will come out a bit more.
Okay.
Easier to get to the middle of the ice for your shot, a little less limiting. So they may not have a spot for him right away, but he's somebody that, as long as the details are there defensively, I think that's another factor here in adding McLeod. Because if he ends up on the wing, they still feel great about Kulik. They feel great about Krebs, and you've got Sam Lafferty could get some time at center as well.
Where's Ryan Johnson at in his development?
Just needs to get stronger. He's an exceptional skater. He was playing he played too many NHL games this season. He kind of got forced into the lineup because Eric Johnson was struggling, and Ryan Johnson he helped them exit their zone. He's so good on the breakout. It's just, he has challenges defending around his own net. Anything below the hash marks where you really need a battle and the nuances, the details in your game get accentuated, that's where he struggled. I mean, they just wanted to create they assigned a couple of depth guys like Dennis Gilbert. He's from Buffalo, played for Calgary the last couple of years. They added him because they don't want to be in a position where you have to force Ryan Johnson up. Like, honestly, just put him in a weight room and feed him a good, healthy diet. I think he'll be a good NHL, third pair defenseman in a year or two. It's just, he shouldn't be put in that position right now on a team with playoff aspirations.
Well, with Dahlin and Power and Bowen Byram, Henry Jokiharju, Connor Clifton, Matthias Samuelsson, who's probably a top 4, is he expected to be ready to go for camp in the start of the season, Samuelsson?
Yeah, he'll be ready to go. So, and the D pairs is really interesting. I would think that your top 4 are going to be, Samuelson's going to get a look with Dahlin. Samuelsson has that skill set that if you can just get him healthy and get him honed in and consistent, he could play a shutdown role. And him next to Dahlin's a perfect pairing. But you would think that they're going to want Bo Byram in the top 4 after making that deal. He can do it. So those 4 are your top, and then we'll see how the rest sort of shakes out. Connor Clifton has 2 years left on his deal, but Jason, after they re-sign Henry Jokiharju, I wonder if Clifton's somebody who's made available, because he can't play upper in your lineup. He's strictly third pair. He can't play the left side, and Jokiharju really can't either. So if Henry's on your third pair, there's nowhere to put Clifton, and there's some strengths to his game. I just wonder if he's somebody that we may see get moved just based on their the other additions they've made this summer.
Great stuff, Lance. We really appreciate it joining us on short notice today. Thanks for this, and have a great weekend.
Hey, always a pleasure, Jason. Talk soon. If I don't talk to you, have a great summer.
You betcha, man. That's Lance Zazowski from the Buffalo News. So a pretty good rundown on the Sabre side of things. It's always good to, the text line, obviously people are loving the trade. And I understand it why. And Matt Savoy, right now, Buffalo, their concern was health. Right? And hey, he wouldn't be an Oiler prospect if he didn't have a few shoulder injuries. Maybe they're just out of the way. That's a good thing. But we'll see. That's obviously something that, I'm sure the organization's well aware of, right? And it's one where, you can add some. Nowadays, there's so many different training things that you can do to help strengthen around, because the shoulder's a tough one, because it's not it's not considered a joint. And it's tough. So you really got to strengthen all the muscles around it. And, Savoy's a young guy. You get popped a few times. You're 19 in the NHL and you're not that physically matured yet. Yeah, somebody runs into you the wrong way, it could lead to issues. So, I think Savoy's a guy whose skill set, he's got NHL skill. There's no question about that. But you got to get stronger. Probably got a little bit quicker, which you can say about 99.9% of prospects. And he'll have the luxury here in Edmonton of not having to rush him to the NHL to kind of be a savior. Whereas in Buffalo, he's a 9th overall pick. You know what? Halfway through the year, we got to call this guy up. Edmonton's not going to have that. They're going, every fan out there knows, well, I shouldn't say every fan. You would hope they realize after last year, remember in February and March when people were saying Ken Holland's drafting of Broberg and Holloway were busts. What happened in the playoffs? I think they played all right. So be patient. Savoy's going to be in a situation where he's not going to have to be rushed. I will say this, though, about Bakersfield. He better be on the first power play unit without hesitation. Have him there. Now, that doesn't mean he gets guaranteed there all year long, but give him an opportunity. Because the Oilers, if you look right now at their minor league team, he'll have the advantage of being able to play with lots of veteran AHL players. right? So you've got right now, let's just assume Raphael Lavoie is near because he could make the team. But if he doesn't, you've got Xavier Bourgault. You have we got Kajula, Lane Peterson, Noah Philp, James Hamlin, who we had in studio. And then there's some other guys. Jaden Gruby's more of a bottom six guy. I don't expect him to play there, right? Jake Chason, same thing, bottom six. So Savoy will definitely add some much needed natural offensive punch to Bakersfield lineup. Now, he could surprise all of us and make the team out of camp. I'm going to guess the Oilers are going to err on the side of development and caution and let this guy play big minutes if they can. Quick break. We'll come back. We got more on the NHL. And we got lots of texts coming in, 833-401-1440. Danny Webster will join us. We continue around the Pacific Division on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Be melon jolly, not melancholy. Summer is ripe for fun, and some Booster Juice bestsellers are back in season. Watermelon smoothies, including the refreshing Watermelon Wave, a berry burst of strawberries, raspberries, pomegranate, and vanilla frozen yogurt. And fan favorites, Watermelon Explosion, a refreshing burst of bananas, mangoes, and pineapple, both made with watermelon sorbet and probiotic yogurt. All of the watermelon, none of the seeds. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
As a business owner, you know that good business is based on good relationships. So imagine, how would you feel if your commercial insurance was driven by people, not products? At High Street Insurance, we've been serving Canadian businesses like yours for 10 years. People, taking care of people. We take the time to learn about your business so we can ensure that your insurance coverage is finely tuned to the nuances of your commercial situation. Good protection starts with understanding you. Reach out to us today at highstreetinsurance.com.
0% for 60 months. I'm not kidding. Where? Wolf GMC Buick. And it's GMC's Adventure Calls event. Pick out a new 2024 Sierra with finance rates as low as 0% for up to 60 months. If you're a Costco member, you get another $1,200 off purchase price on any 2024 in-stock Sierra. We're talking half tons, 3/4 tons, even 1 tons. If you'd rather an SUV, we've got low lease payments and an awesome selection on GMC Terrain. So get in today and get your adventure on. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
CW Eves Troughing is busy. That's why they're looking for experienced troughers to run one of their trucks to get paid top rates. Contact CW Eves Troughing at 780-435-1492 or email info@cweves.com. Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com. Legacy Heating and Cooling is your #1 air conditioning company. So when you can't take living in oppressive heat any longer, call Legacy. Call Legacy. If your hot, sticky sheets keep you up all night, call Legacy. Call Legacy. If you've decided that you deserve to be cool and comfortable, call Legacy. Call Legacy. And with no payments, no interest for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
What's cracking at Cattail? Maybe you've got the next tiger on your hands. Cattail Crossing offers young golfers Operation 36, a program to improve their growing skill set with other golfers their age. To register, email proshop@cattailcrossing.ca.
.330, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. It is the Gregor Show, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. If you're just joining us, the story of the day for Edmonton fans, Ryan McLeod has been traded, along with Ty Tullio, to the Buffalo Sabres for the 9th overall selection in the 2022 NHL entry draft from St. Albert. Matt Savoy, who just turned 20 in January. So this will be the first year of his entry-level contract. He has, if he's in the NHL, he has a cap hit of 886 K is what his cap hit would be in the NHL. I'm guessing he's likely to start in the American League, but high draft pick, you never know. We'll see. But the Oilers have the luxury; they're a pretty good team. When you see Skinner and Arvidsson here, and like Holloway, if Kane's healthy, I don't see how you're going to have Matty Savoy starting here. And you know what? He'll go down to Bakersfield. Should get lots of opportunities. Like I said, you'd hope a guy like that gets some PP time down in the AHL. We'll continue on our Pacific Division offseason tour, brought to you by Action Electrical, whether it's residential solar, commercial solar. They also have all electrical preventative maintenance for commercial buildings. They can help you ensure that you're getting the best savings. Go to actionelectrical.net. As we today are going to focus on the Vegas Golden Knights, as Danny Webster joins us from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Danny, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
Doing good, guys. How are you?
Hey, I'm excellent. Vegas wasn't overly busy in the free agency, but really, you would look at it, the big trades they made with Hannafin and Hurdle at the deadline, that was kind of like their off season leading up to this year. Is that kind of how you see it? And, where do you see this team moving forward?
Yeah, in a sense, it definitely is. When you make a commitment to getting Tomas Hurdle in, who has 6 years left on his contract, you pretty much know that he's going to be part of your center group for the foreseeable future. And then to get Noah Hannafin and lock him up for the next 8 years, definitely some business that was predicated not even just for last year, but this year and going beyond. So I think that definitely did play into the Golden Knights' plans going into free agency. And that does set up for a very interesting year. There are going to be some players that are coming up from the depths of the organization. They're going to be competing for roster spots. There are going to be some interesting questions involving the goaltending going forward. It's going to make for a very interesting year, albeit a very talented team still that can definitely still compete for a playoff spot. But there's definitely some questions. There are definitely some questions that will need to be answered at some point next year.
Alexander Holtz, they got in that trade from New Jersey. He's a young guy that, people are wondering, hey, maybe a change of pace. Victor Olofsson a few years ago was a really good scorer in Buffalo, and obviously kind of the wheels fell off. So two maybe kind of, I wouldn't say low risk bets, because you did give up Thompson, but then they signed Samsonov in goal. So, what do you make of the Holtz trade? And do you think this guy will get an opportunity in the top six?
I do. I think the Holtz trade was very interesting because you're talking about a kid that played all 82 games last year for New Jersey, and I think just probably fell out of rotation with that stacked forward group that they've assembled now in New Jersey. So now he goes to a spot where the Golden Knights are looking for bodies that can fill the void left behind with Jonathan Marchessault now leaving for Nashville, and Alexander Holtz now with a full season under his belt kind of fits that bill for what the Golden Knights are looking for. And definitely to only move on from Paul Cotter, who a very beloved player here, but also someone who had more inconsistencies in his game than I think a lot of people would like to admit. But he definitely showed a lot of effort every time he got on the ice. So to kind of move on from a guy who is probably going to be your fourth line guy to bring in a guy who at 22 years old has the ability to be a middle nine player, maybe a top six player, is definitely interesting. Victor Olofsson, I think, is someone that they hope can provide a little bit of punch on the power play, with the Golden Knights power play struggling toward the end of the season and going into the playoffs against Dallas. They were probably looking for someone that they can fit in that middle nine or that middle six that could definitely provide that punch on the power play when given the opportunity. And I do think that the fact that you're giving him a change of scenery as well, I think will benefit Victor Olofsson as well, because I know he fell out of favor in another crowded forward group in Buffalo. So two guys that definitely have a chance to really make an impact and kind of turn things around with the way their careers have gone.
Danny Webster joins us from Las Vegas, previewing the Knights. Now, the goaltending change I know there were separate moves, but Thompson goes out, Samsonov comes in. They still have Aiden Hill, and I think is this going to be a 1A, 1B? And why Thompson why Samsonov over Thompson?
Yeah, that's going to be the very interesting thing here because now Kelly McCrimmon likes to have the 1-1A platoon. And definitely last year, we saw that being 1-1A when Logan Thompson came in for Aiden Hill during all of his injuries and all his inconsistencies. Logan Thompson steps in, plays the best hockey of his career, earns the game one start against Dallas, gets them to a 2-2 split at no fault of his own. And then suddenly they switch to Aiden Hill and things go a little haywire. I do know that there was definitely some frustration as far as the switch goes between Logan to Aiden, and that might have played a big factor in Logan wanting out and trying to find a new scenery to show that he can be a number one goaltender. As far as going to Ilya Samsonov, that's going to be the interesting thing just because he's coming off the worst year of his career. Things did not go well. Things did not carry over from the year before in Toronto. So now you're banking on him making $1.1 million more than what Logan Thompson was getting paid going into the final year of his contract. And now he is essentially the backup to Aiden Hill. And I wouldn't even call it a 1A, 1B. I think that Aiden Hill right now is definitively the 1 and Samsonov is definitively the 2. The interesting thing going forward here, and I actually wrote about this yesterday, the interesting thing about this is that Aiden Hill has only played a handful of games in his career, really, when you look at it. 35 last year was a career high for him. He has had trouble staying healthy, has had trouble with nagging injuries, and he's going into the last year of his contract. So now you have Aiden Hill going into the last year of his deal. You sign Ilya Samsonov to a 1-year deal, and you're pretty much banking on these two to be the guys that can lead, that can help carry the crease for the Knights into the playoffs. And if something goes haywire where Hill gets hurt, can you trust Samsonov to come in and play effective hockey? And Kelly McCrimmon did say that Sean Burke, the goaltending coach, does feel that there are aspects to his game that bring up the conversation of what the conversation was when they acquired Aiden Hill in 2022. So until further notice, I will trust Sean Burke because he does have a good handle on these things. But it is definitely a risk, not only just for this year, but it is going to be a risk going into next year for the Golden Knights.
Looking at their defense, Pietrangelo, Hannafin, Theodore, McNabb, Whitecloud, and Haig, the top six seems pretty set. You got Ben Sutton, but you also got young Caden Korzak. What do you make of his opportunities this? Because I think, I don't think they would send him down because I think he has clear waivers this time now. So because he's not on his entry-level deal anymore. Where do you see him fitting in? And do you think there's potentially a move coming on the back end?
That is correct. He did sign a 2-year deal after he hit RFA status on Monday, actually. So he does need to play NHL games. Kelly McCrimmon did say Caden Korzak is going to be a full-time NHL player this year. So that is first and foremost. And I think based on what we saw in limited sample size last year, he's definitely earned that right. He's someone who I think adds a great deal of youth. He adds both elements in his game as far as moving the puck up and playing well on the back end. He has shown that he's capable of that track. Now, that leads to the big question: what do the Knights do? And I think when you look at it from that standpoint, you're going to have to move to one of the guys that play on the right side, because I don't think you want to move away from Brady McNabb because he's a very underrated aspect of this team. And I don't think they want to move on from Nick Hague from that standpoint either. So you look at the right side, and really the two candidates that they could look to move would be Shea Theodore and Zach Whitecloud. And Shea Theodore obviously going into the last year of his deal with the potential of getting an 8-year deal from the Knights, or if they were to potentially trade him before the trade deadline next year. So I do feel that there has to be a move coming. I don't know exactly when that move will be, but if all signs indicate that Caden Korzak is going to be an everyday NHL player next year, it does seem like there will have to be another trade made at least before the season begins.
So yeah, maybe potentially one of their D, which would be attractive guys if they were looking at moving it. So should be fun. Really appreciate the rundown, man. Danny, thanks so much. Enjoy your off season.
Of course, Jason. Thanks for having me.
Danny Webster, beat reporter for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. And man, that blue line's pretty deep in Vegas. Their forwards, they got some questions. I don't love the speed Like, I'll go down the list of, Jack Eichel. Okay, Eichel can skate. Mark Stone, not a burner, good player. Thomas Hertl, definitely not a burner. William Karlsson, decent skater. Barbashev, all right. Nicholas Roy, Brett Howden, Doriev, Kolazar, like, they're not slow, but they don't got many burners. Right? Like, I don't think they're an overly quick team. They're big, and they don't necessarily, that's not their game. But I wonder, you're listening to if you look for them to possibly move a D-man to try to augment a little bit of speed and skill up front. Something to watch for. So that Vegas is never shy to make trades. And if their GM thinks Korzak is a full-time NHLer this year, well, then you would think maybe one of those top 6D. Haig is an RFA at the end of the season. Theodore is a UFA. I don't think they're going to move him. Brady McNabb, also a UFA, but pretty good defender. And, pretty good value, 2.8. So it'll be interesting. When we return, we'll get more on. We got a lot of good questions on the text line today. We'll get to some thoughts about the Ryan McLeod trade. If you're just joining us, yes, Ryan McLeod has been traded to the Buffalo Sabres along with Ty Tullio. And coming back to Edmonton, Matt Savoy from St. Albert, who was the 9th overall pick in the 2022 NHL entry draft. He averaged over 2 points a game last season in the WHL. He had 11 goals, 23 points in Wenatchee in 11 games, and then got traded to Moose Jaw, had 47 points in 23 games with the Warriors, who then went on to win the Western League for the first time in franchise history, and he was a major part of that. So, you know what? I had an unreal year. They said we had Lance Lugaszowski, if you missed it earlier. He thinks one of the reasons why the Sabres, they wanted McLeod. They've been rejigging their whole bottom six. They had some concerns with Savoy's health. He had some shoulder problems, right? And that sucks for shoulder problems. But we've seen guys, you get banged up sometimes young. And as long as you rehab it properly, right? There's a good chance you really got to strengthen all the muscles. We've had Grant Fedoruk on about strengthening the muscles around your shoulder because it's not officially a joint. I'm no doctor. That's what all the medical people tell me. So I'm going to agree with them. It's not officially a joint. So, it can be difficult. Some people out there have shoulder injuries. You really got to work on it, strengthen it. And I'm sure that's what Savoy's doing. He came back, played great for Moose Jaw. So it might have just been the case of here's a young guy, he's 19. Your body's not completely mature yet. You're playing the NHL. You ran in some huge, thick men. And guess what? Something's got to give. So we'll see where that goes moving forward. I would think pretty good chance you will see him start in Bakersfield for the Oilers. So that frees up about $2.1 million for the Oilers. They were already over the cap, so brings them a little bit closer. And away you go. I look at Edmonton's lineup. You can trade Ryan McLeod, and they still have a top 9 that consists of McDavid, Hyman, Nugent-Hopkins, Draisaitl, Skinner, Arvidsson, Kane, Holloway, and Henrique. It's not bad. Quick break. When we come back, hey, one other team that is playing and absolutely rolling. We'll talk about them next on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, coming in live in the eWell studio, EWEL.ca.
Hey, Eddie Steele here. If you know me, you know I'm motivated. And what motivates me? Winning? Been there, done that. What motivates me is the smell of fresh baked goodness, the kind you find at Bonton Bakery. As soon as you walk into Bonton, you're greeted with a big smile, a warm welcome, and the aroma. So good. The showcase of their baked goods always means trouble for me, not just because of the selection, but the excellent fresh ingredients. That's Bonton Bakery, 8720 149th Street, open 9 to 5, Tuesday to Saturday.
Edmonton Stingers basketball face the Vancouver Bandits Friday, July 5th at the Edmonton Expo Center. Enjoy affordable family fun with a $5 food and drink menu and free parking. Tickets start at just $20. Visit thestingers.ca/tickets.
Move Water is your one-stop shop for all things water. From freshwater to wastewater, we've got the pumps and solutions to keep your water moving where it matters most.
Move Water, your water solution experts.
Visit movewater.ca today.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy Team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
Hey, if you're a basketball fan, you're going to want to check out the Basketball Show here on Sports 1440. I'm Paul Sir, and I'll be your host every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon right here on Sports 1440.
Join NHL alumni at the Hockey Heroes Charity Alumni Weekend in Whitecourt on September 6th and 7th. A Friday night banquet featuring live entertainment, auctions, and a great meal, followed by a charity golf tournament Saturday at the Whitecourt Golf and Country Club. Visit hockeyheroesgame.com to register.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the word. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance. Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
Rule number 116. In Waterton, walk with a lean. The wind will always prop you up. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instants, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply. $3.49. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Hope you're having a lovely day. Oiler fans are excited. I recommend Steve Ellis, who's an unbelievable scout. And I wrote an article at ordersnation.com about Savoy and all the things he does. And so if you're an Oiler fan, you want to be excited about it. We're playing the show live on Orders Nation right now, YouTube and Facebook. When the show's over, check out Ellis's. He's got an article coming up about Savoy and what he does well from a scouting perspective. This guy watches a lot of hockey, lots. It's not just he's a big believer in analytics too, but he goes off of video and everything else. It's that guy spends hours and hours evaluating players. Pretty good stuff. Now, let's talk a little baseball. And we are talking to the gentleman who, of course, last season saw his organization set the attendance record in their league. And now they might be in top 3 for all in the Cape Cod and other leagues. What is going right for the Edmonton Riverhawks? We'll find out with their GM, Steve Hogle. Steve, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm outstanding. How about you, Jason?
Hey, I'm pretty good. I saw that picture And well, first of all, I love the River Valley, but I love the, Remax Field there. That picture that you guys put out, there was 9,000 fans. So it's great seeing it full, but it's just like, it was a great vantage point. And it really kind of captured how you guys have really been successful in getting fans to want to come and support your team.
Yeah, I'm just watching the guys warm up here up in the media center. I've got this lovely perch to look at the field, the Walterdale Bridge in the background, a good chunk of the River Valley beyond that. And it is an absolutely magical setting. So it really is a gift to be able to play our games down here at this diamond in the River Valley.
So, you know what, you guys right now, you're 18-9. You're right behind Wenatchee. Steve, obviously it's been a very successful first half. Well, why do you feel like, you've done a lot of things well, right? It's not just about baseball when people come to the game with the River Hawks, but you don't want to rest on your laurels, but at the same time, you don't want to try to upset the apple cart as to what's working. So what do you feel is working that you want to continue that brings fans in? And of course, you got a 3-game set against Kamloops tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday. And my goodness, I don't know if you could ask for nicer weather.
Oh, this is the first, our numbers have been fantastic for attendance despite crummy weather. That Canada Day, it started out a little shaky and then it turned partway through the day. We started out around 4,000 and change. We ended up with more than 9,000 that day.
That
West
much
Coast
walk-up.
record. Yeah, the walk-up was off the charts. We were amazed by it. Just blew our socks off, and we're breaking first every step of the way here, and we're we're doing our darndest to serve our fans really well. We're also asking for their patience. Our food and beverage lineups are big. We're trying to find ways around that. The parking is always a pain in the butt. So yeah, we're constantly working at it. But in terms of what's worked down here, we are dialed in on that fan first, that fan experience. And just to make it so much more than a baseball game. The baseball's fantastic. And then we add these themes and these wacky contests and improv comics on the mics to host. And it's just a fun night and an absolutely gorgeous setting. And the numbers get the players talking. And so this is our 3rd year in the season, and players talk. And they're talking, if you want to play summer ball, go to Edmonton. It is the place to play. These players never get to play in front of this many people, and they're absolutely jacked by it.
I would think so. And so, you know what? Your season ticket base, Steve. So the walk-up is great, but any business will tell you, hey, we'd like to get a few more season seats. How is that part of it going? Or is baseball just always going to be a fairly substantial walk-up crowd?
Well, it's interesting. This year, our premium areas largely sell out. So I tell people, if you're buying season tickets, if you're sitting in the grandstand, maybe think about flex tickets. That just gives you a little bit more flexibility. But if you want a premium area, you're going to have to buy, if you want that premium seat game in, game out, you're going to have to buy season tickets because those places sell out. And that premium area is expanding in the stadium as demand dictates. So we've crept into our grandstand 4 rows with reserved seating, and Canada Day, we were juggling to find people seats. So next Canada Day, for sure, we're going to go assigned seating throughout the stadium. And we're wondering, do we look at that for every game next year? So good problems to have, and we're working through them on the fly this season, and then a lot of work in the off season to sort of crack the code on some of these puzzles.
And Steve, the other benefit, of course, that I think it kind of goes hand in hand. It's great to have a great ballpark and great promotions, but it also helps when you have a winning team. And you guys were competitive last year, but you're 18-19 this season. You're right in the race in the first half. And, I'm sure people naturally, you go to the ballpark and you win, you're just more inclined to want to come back.
Totally. It's just a little more icing on the cake for sure. And the boys are red hot, 8-2 in their last 10. All-Star roster will be announced on Monday. We might have 6 guys going to the All-Star game.
Really?
So that's really, really exciting to see. And MLB draft is coming up. We might have 1 or 2 guys go in that. So a real high-end ball down here, and such a pleasure to watch these guys. And you're right. we ended up for the first half of the season. The season is divided into two pennants, and we were tied for first in the first half, and we lost on the home winning percentage to Wenatchee.
Yeah.
So we're going to battle with those guys all year long. So things look good for playoff games here. You never want to get too far ahead of yourself, but if we do have playoff games, we will be going to that assigned seeding for sure.
Steve Hogle joins us, general manager of the Edmonton Riverhawks. Now, you mentioned like I think McFeely's probably a lock. I think he's second or third right now in batting average.
Yeah.
Domingo's got the most wins in the league as a pitcher. You've got he's right up there in ERA as well. Yeah. Same with Noel. Both. You got pretty good pitching overall. Like, you don't really have much of a weakness. Now, are there a lot of trades during the season in your league, Steve?
No, but no trades. But there are some curious happenings because sometimes you're getting these kids from the top end colleges in the state, and sometimes if they have a deep playoff run with their school team, they might be a little bit later getting here.
Okay.
And then if you've got a pitcher who's getting close to his pitch count for the summer, he might have to leave a couple games early. So it's a weird kind of fluid roster in that regard.
Okay.
And then we've got some guys heading off to for a couple of days to show their stuff at MLB camp. So there's more juggling than what you might normally expect. And this year, when you hear something like one player going off to an MLB camp to strut his stuff, juggling for all the right reasons, obviously.
Steve, you look at do you guys have any concerns that you might lose some pitchers late in the year?
That's not unique to any team in the West Coast League or any summer league ball. So we try to manage those pitch counts, and Jake Lanferman, head coach, and his group do a wonderful job with these guys. So you try to manage that pitch count. But the last thing you want is sending a guy back to his school with a sore arm or a nick. And so you want these guys going back, having great reps, and going back better than ever. So it's really critical. And they do an awesome job keeping an eye on everything to make sure these guys are going back healthy and stronger and just that much better.
So give me a quick little expectation for the weekend. Kamloops tonight, tomorrow. Obviously, there's tickets still available for people for walk-up to get in. Do you have any of those special seats left for people that we got some texts wondering, can they get in today? As long as you show up at the ballpark by what? 6:45, that's guaranteed you can get in?
Yeah, you're going to get a seat into the grandstand. All our premium areas are sold out throughout the whole weekend.
Okay.
So it's grandstand seating only. That's available. But we were at 4,000 earlier in the day here today. So we'll have a stellar crowd tonight for first responders. We've got country night tomorrow, and then we've got Christmas comes early on Sunday. So all sorts of fun themes, wonky stuff that will really surprise you in game. So lots of fun. The quality of balls, unreal, as we've discussed. We've got Kamloops in town. You don't want to get counting your chickens before they hatch, but we should be able to sweep them. They're fairly low, but hey, that's why you play the game, obviously. But we're looking to keep this hot streak alive for sure.
Awesome, Steve. Great stuff, man. I really appreciate it. So have yourself a great weekend, and here's hoping the winning streak continues.
Awesome. Thanks to all the listeners, viewers, and everybody else.
That is Steve Hogle, GM of the Edmonton Riverhawks. And if you haven't gone to a game, it's funny because our premium seating. I'm like, dude, I actually think sitting in the grandstand, some of the best seats there. It's a little bit higher up. You know what? You got a few more foul balls. The vantage point's unreal to see the diamond. Like, there's no bad seat there. It's a fantastic facility for baseball.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a chance to sit in kind of both of those, and I don't think there is a bad one. Sitting out there amongst the rest of the fans there, it's always a good time. You get a chance to catch a foul ball every once in a while. I like the people that are bringing around the hot dogs and stuff. Some of the guys down there have great senses of humor. One guy said, they won't let me back if I don't sell all these. So a few people were buying them. Like, it's a good time down at the Riverhawks games, and you can't beat the view.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get to a quick break. When we return, we'll recap, of course, the Oilers trade. If you missed it, Ryan McLeod, no longer a member of the Oilers franchise. Him and Ty Tullio have been traded to the Buffalo Sabres. Connor Halley in the Sports Update will tell you who's coming back. Sports Update brought to you by Booster Juice. And hey, it's back, baby. The watermelon wave. Just in time for the heat. Download the Boosters Reward app today and order yours only at Booster Juice.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Yes, as Jason mentioned, the Edmonton Oilers making a move today, sending Ryan McLeod and Tyler Tullio to the Buffalo Sabres in exchange for forward Matthew Savoy. Savoy, 20 years old, was selected 9th overall in the 2022 NHL draft. He's appeared in 1 NHL game so far. He played the majority of this season with the Moose Jaw Warriors, registering 19 goals and 28 assists for 47 points in 23 games. From the association, Magic forward Franz Wagner has agreed on a 5-year, $224 million deal that could be worth as much as $269 million. In the CFL, Week 5 continues tonight in Winnipeg as the 0-4 Bombers host the 2-1 Red Blacks. Kickoff set for 6:30. Major League Baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays in action. They'll kick off a weekend series against the Mariners out in Seattle. First pitch set for 7:40. The team's meeting tomorrow 2:10 and the Sunday at 2:10. You can hear that game right here on Sports 1440 or both of those games on our radio feed. Only one final from earlier today had the Cubbies knocking off the Angels 5-1. Copa America tonight from AT&T Stadium in Texas. Canada takes on Venezuela. That'll start at 7 o'clock. Euros 2024, Spain advancing after they defeat Germany 2-1. They scored in the 125th, 19th minute to pick up the victory. And just wrapping up, France defeats Portugal after winning 5-3 on penalties. Edmonton Riverhawks kicking off a weekend series down at Remax Field, taking on Kamloops tonight, tomorrow, 7 o'clock, and then on Sunday, a nice 1 p.m. start. And the Edmonton Stingers in action. 2 games this weekend. Tonight they'll host Vancouver at 7, and then Sunday also at 7, they'll take on the Brampton Honey Badgers. Coming up in Hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we're joined by Craig Button from the NHL on TSN in the last 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
The cheesy burger pizza is back at Papa John's.
See what happens when you ask for it?
Boom! Finally, it's on the menu again for a limited time. Get all the items in the Cheesy Burger Trio or choose between the large Cheesy Burger Pizza for $18.99, Cheesy Burger Papadilla for $9.99, and Bacon Cheesy Burger Papa Bites for $8.99. All made with sizzling beef, dilly pickles, ooey gooey cheese, and burger sauce. That's right, burger sauce. Get it before it's gone. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Cheesy Burger Pizza at Papa John's.
What a season. What a ride. Congratulations on an incredible season from GS Construction. Whether you're a laborer, pipe layer, or pipe layer's helper, lead hand, operator, top man or woman, or water and sewer foreman, GS Construction has room for you on their team. GS Construction, celebrating 50 years of laying the groundwork of Edmonton and communities throughout Alberta. Let's get to work. Get started today at gsconstruction.ca.
Hey, this is Ben Maller. Do you work the midnight shift? Maybe you can't sleep. Let's stay up together. The Ben Maller Show airs weekdays from midnight to 4 right here on Sports 1440. I got to tell you, it's pretty exciting to be in the Edmonton market.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your #1 air conditioning company. So when you can't take living in oppressive heat any longer,
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
if your hot, sticky sheets keep you up all night,
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
if you've decided that you deserve to be cool and comfortable,
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
and with no payments, no interest for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter
W-
companies with state-of-the-art motor
EL.
coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped
Hey,
buses
Eddie
have
Steele
become
here.
the
If you
preferred
know me,
carrier
you know
for
I'm
many local
motivated.
sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada.
Yeah.
For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
The Bricks Appliance Super Sale is here. Check out amazing deals on all major appliances, like chest freezers starting at just $199 and washer and dryer packages for under $1,500. Shop incredible deals in other departments, like up to $920 off sofas and sectionals. Plus, from July 5th to 8th only, get specialty prices like mattresses starting at just $149 and buy more, save more, up to an extra $1,000 off select major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more. $407. Welcome back. Positive Friday on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. It is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Hope you're having a lovely day. It's a positive Friday, beautiful weather. This is unreal barbecue weather. For those of you that are going to the lake, you're going to love it. Those of you who love a little raise this weekend, put on the sunscreen. You're going to get hot. Real hot. This is perfect baseball weather. Also, if some of you are like, it's too hot for me. Well, guess what? Get down to you can see the Stingers tonight and Sunday. So you got the Riverhawks Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you have the Stingers Friday and Sunday. Lots going on. Bye week for the Elks. They're back home in action next Sunday, taking on the Ottawa Red Black. Some kind of weird deal they got. So they got to have these Sunday night games that start at 7 Eastern, which of course would be 5 Mountain Time. Kind of odd to me. I'm not sold that Randy Ambrosie's the right guy for the CFL right now. If you're asking my honest opinion on leadership for them, like Sunday night games, 7 o'clock Eastern, I'm not sure people are loving that. So there you go. We got a lot of text, 833-401-1440, and the text line is humming. People are fired up. Hey, Gregor, in the last 6 months, the Flames have traded Zadorov, Lindholm, Hanifin, Mangiapane, and Tanev. The Oilers have traded Ryan McLeod. Guess who has the best prospect from Tyson? Well, he did get a 9th overall. None of those players got a 9th overall. A little bit older, right? Because if you look, Hanifin was traded Miro Manoff and the 25th first round pick, right? Tanev was just, they didn't have much. He's a pen and UFA. Lindholm, they got Kuzmenko for some money. They did get a first rounder in 2024. So, we'll see. Obviously he's not as high as 9th overall. Mangiapane is a 2nd rounder. Yeah, think about it. Like Andrew. Now he also had $5 million cap hit, right? So you do have to consider that a little bit. You're taking on some money in Washington, and you get a 2nd rounder for that. But the point is made, and the point is probably somewhat valid in that regard. Hey guys, how much would Keith Gretzky and Brad Holland be behind the work done this past week? Jackson gets all the credit, but those two could be doing some heavy lifting behind the scenes. Is our next GM internal from West End Rob? Well, I do know that, you know what? It's a team thing. Jeff Jackson isn't out doing all the scouting, right? So, Keith Gretzky obviously has say in lots of things. Brad Holland, Bill Scott, there are other pro scouts for sure. right? It's never, even when Ken Holland was a GM, people don't like a trade, and it's all they always blame the one GM. And if they like it, well, what about this guy? So it's never, Jackson will be the first to tell you that it's never just one person. But hey, he's obviously got a pretty keen negotiating when it comes to contracts. Although, let's be honest, the Oilers are a team now. Everybody wants to come here because they can win. And especially Brown, Janmark, and Henrique, they were in the room. They knew how it felt. They knew how close they were. And then Skinner and Arvidsson, Arvidsson's seen it firsthand, up close, what it takes to lose against the Oilers. But, I don't want to discount what Jackson's done. I will say this. When I look at the management team they have right now, it's why I look and say, whichever GM comes here, they got a pretty good job to inherit. A much easier job than Ken Holland had when he took over here. Even when Chiarelli took over. Now, Chiarelli, of course, took over and they got McDavid right away. Anybody could have drafted him. I don't give him credit for that. But they did have Skinner. They do have Bouchard. They had McLeod. Right? So there was some impact there for sure. They made some big errors and the team didn't win. Ken Holland made some errors because everybody does, but the team won and came agonizingly close to winning the cup. But look at the GM who's going to take over here. And you know what? They might take over this team. The Oilers might win a cup next year. And the GM won a Stanley Cup. But really, how much change is going to be made from the GM? Now, they might make a trade if he takes over here later this month and could see, maybe a shift on their blue line. That could happen. But there's not like a lot of moves that are going to be made here for this team. There's not a lot of holes anymore at all. So you're valid on that. My sense in conversations I've had from people in and outside the organization that Jeff Jackson is looking for a GM who has NHL experience, right? So that's why Stan Bowman's name's out there. But, there are other guys, Brian Lawton, right? You can go, there's going to be a few other guys for sure. So I don't know 100%. And experience is nice. But it's not like Jackson himself doesn't have a lot of experience in the hockey world. He was an assistant GM. Then he was an agent. Now, of course, he's a CEO, right? Keith Gretzky's been around a long time. Brad Holland, Bill Scott. They got other guys in the organization, right? So they got a lot of experience. I think they've done a pretty good job of building up the organization. So you're bang on. It's not Jeff Jackson, but he's the final say right now. And obviously it's working. Hey, guys, can you see Derek Ryan as the fourth line center for a full season? If not, who do you see filling that role now that McLeod is gone? Thanks from Stu. Stu, good question. Well, guy we had in studio, James Hamlin, played 31 games last year. He's an option. I think Noah Philp, who's 6'3", right shot centerman, who took year off for personal reasons. He's likely going to start in the American League. They really liked his season 2 years ago in the American League. He was trending as a player. They thought I wouldn't have been shocked if he would have gotten some games last year had he kept playing. He's an option. Lane Peterson's an option. I think Lane Peterson might push Ryan pretty hard here at camp. All right, I'll be watching that battle closely. So yeah, they have some guys there, and then of course, if need be, you can always acquire someone at the deadline if you find out that what you have during the year isn't working. So. Hey, guys, do you think they should re-sign his brother? Why? Guys, this is not minor sports. No offense. The organization didn't qualify Carter Savoy, but that hasn't. It's not personal. It's not like they don't like the last name. They just felt like, you know what? For whatever reason, he wasn't a fit in their organization. But Matt and Carter are very two different people. Will it be a little bit weird, maybe? For a day or two for the parents, oh, geez, man, and I don't think they dislike the Oilers. You just feel like, oh, geez, you know what? Where's he going to go? Carter Savoy's a talented player. Right? Well, he'll, could sign an AHL deal somewhere else. Might end up going to Europe, find his game. Maybe he could be like Derek Ryan. Remember, Derek Ryan played the U of A, then he went over and played in Europe. Then he came to the NHL. There's lots of different paths to get back there. Mark Giordano. Although his was a little bit contract related, but still he bet on himself, went to Russia of all places, came back and became a hell of a defenseman. So, you know what? It's one door that closes. It doesn't mean that the entire league has closed all 31 other doors for an organization. Hey, guys, do you think they play Petrov, Savoy, and Bourgault together? From Mike. I haven't even thought about that. Mike's good question. Well, Bourgault, that's going to be his third year. Yeah, maybe. I would guess, though, that you would see one of their other kind of veteran AHL guys, because they got a lot of good offensive guys down there, right? I think you could see, Lane Peterson, James Hamlin. Like James Hamlin's, he's a really good American League player. Now, he might play more of the second line, third line role because that's what he's going to play in the NHL, right? Like James Hamlin's not going to be a top 6 forward in the NHL, whereas Matt Savoy, he was drafted to be a top 6 guy. Doesn't mean he will be, but that's where he's drafted. So most organizations are going to put him in a position where he's on your top 6 for sure, and he's going to be on one of your power play units, guaranteed. He has to be. There's no way he can't be. The way I look at it, I don't see how you do it. Hey guys, the Oilers are making old Oiler moves. They're banking on young guys to take them to the playoffs. Well, not really. That they just traded a young guy away for Ryan McLeod, who's he's a proven NHL player. Look at how many, like Ryan McLeod's, he's got more playoff games than probably over half of the Sabres roster. Ryan McLeod's going to go into Buffalo and be considered an experienced player, which he is. Like, he's not a young guy anymore. He's played 3 full seasons in the NHL. Now, he's not an elite player, but Ryan McLeod is a guaranteed full-time established NHL player. You can dislike some of his game, and that's fine, but he's a proven established NHL player. Tage Thompson, Dylan Cousins, Zach Benson, JJ Peterka, Jack Quinn. They don't got any playoff experience. Now, you do have Alex Tuck, who has some, but he got traded for Eichel, so he didn't, he lost in the Stanley Cup final. But yeah, they're going to look to McLeod and have McLeod hopefully help solidify their third line center spot or push Peterka and Benson to be a top 6 left winger there. So I think they just feel that right now their GM's in a position. It's 2 organizations where the Oilers are like, hey, we get a top prospect who we have no reason to rush. Matt Savoy can come to Edmonton. He can go down to Bakersfield. He can play a lot of minutes and just produce points and gain confidence and gain experience and get stronger. And the organization's like, awesome. Because we have our top 6 guys all filled out here. Right? There's no, and even when Savoy does get called up, it's a great situation for him because he won't be, even though he's a 9th overall pick, there's going to be very little internal or external pressure on him to have to be a big hit as a 9th overall pick. You can be patient. And now I know it's a different position, but Philip Broberg was an 8th overall pick in 2019. Savoy's drafted 3 years after him. So remember how some people, even less than 6 months ago, thought Broberg, it's a terrible pick, it's a bust. And now they're like, Broberg's a guaranteed top 4. It can change quickly. So patience is a big advantage that the Oilers have. Now, for some young players, when you're in the moment, you don't love it because your goal is to be in the NHL. No one's goal is, hey, I want to be an NHL player. But usually to get to the NHL, what is it? 85, 87% of players play in the American League. Now, some for shorter time, but look, Draisaitl played there. Right? Remember, I think people forget this. Leon Draisaitl, in his 20-year-old season, started in the American League. Darnell Nurse, same thing, started in the American League. Now, they came up quickly, but they also came up to a team that wasn't very good. The Oilers now are really good. Like Stanley Cup finalist Game 7 good. You're not going to have to rush and bring up Matt Savoy or any of their young players. Because if you come up now, you got to earn it. You don't get gifted ice time on a deep organization. Whereas for years you would gift ice time. And some people argue that, well, you got to give them ice time. Well, why? So they can get their teeth kicked in because they're not good enough as a team. So that when Savoy does get called up, he'll have the opportunity to probably maybe play the wing because you got Henrique, Draisaitl, McDavid. So, hey, Matt, you're going to come up. Oh, I got to play the wing, coach? I get to play the wing with Draisaitl or McDavid or Henrique? Yeah, sure. I have no problem with that. It's a very good situation to be in. Hey guys, is Seth Jarvis a comparable for Matt Savoy? From Sunny in Vancouver. That's an interesting question. I think Seth Jarvis is probably at the stage of their careers now. Seth Jarvis was probably a little bit more responsible, I think, defensively. And I'm not saying that Savoy is just terrible, but I'm just saying at that stage, Jarvis was, a little bit better there. Jarvis was never as like he was good offensive guy, don't get me wrong, but he was not a 2-point a game guy in junior, right? Now he did have a 98-point season, damn good. So 1.5 guy. So I would say Savoy's probably a natural better offensive player. But Seth Jarvis, I remember when he got, like, people were really high on him. He's super smart, hockey sense guy. But you know what? Similar in size, Jarvis a little bit bigger, not much. And if you look at Seth Jarvis, 17 goals, 14 goals, pop, 33 goals, right? So, and he was on a good team in a good organization. And as long as people, like Matt Savoy, it's kind of like Dylan Holloway. Dylan Holloway, same draft class as Seth Jarvis, different player. That, you know what? Hey, guess what? The first few years on a deep team, you might just be on the third line, but you're going to get to play with good players. And if you can be responsible defensively, well, now you're going to play even more. And so if you're Matthew Savoy this year in Bakersfield, I think his focus, we all know he can play offense. I'm sure that Colin Schock will put a big emphasis on, hey, kid, you know what? Because the truth is you're going to come to Edmonton, you're probably not going to start in the top 6. So if you want to play minutes in the bottom 6 to start, and doesn't mean you lose your offensive creativity. You just gain defensive awareness. And that's what he'll look at. But Seth Jarvis, I'll say this. The Oilers would do cartwheels if Matt Savoy becomes Seth Jarvis at the NHL level, right? Because what they were a junior is what they were a junior. But as an NHL player, if he can become Seth Jarvis, 33 goals, 67 points, are you kidding me? They'd be doing cartwheels over that. It's an interesting one, Sonny. I like it. 422, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you in Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. One other note to mention in regards to Leon Draisaitl. So Leon Draisaitl's agent, Arieri Poner, spoke with the German outlet Eich Hockey News. That's EIS, so Eich Hockey News. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing that properly, so my bad. Any German listeners out there, I might have butchered that, so my bad. Quote, now, I said this in German, of course, but in translation, quote, we're very confident that there will be an agreement with Edmonton in the end that both sides will be happy with. They indicated they're looking to get a deal done by the end of August, which would indicate whether Edmonton really wants him or not. Well, I can tell you one thing. Edmonton really wants him. As I've said all along, there's no rush on this. Would he like to have it done before the season begins? 100%. Well, the season training camp doesn't begin until September 18th. So you got ample time. Draisaitl doesn't. Even Jeff Jackson said it. He goes, we're in no rush here. Like this negotiation is not going to be where I think both sides are starting out at vastly different numbers. Right? Draisaitl might ask, like his agents, hey, let's try for 14. And they went, well, let's look at 13. I think you can close the gap pretty easily there. I don't think Draisaitl, he wants to win. And he sees the landscape of the NHL. And hey, Leon Draisaitl, if you remember, some people were freaking. I remember people, I don't know how many names I got called when Leon Draisaitl signed for $8.5 million. I said, that's going to be a really good contract. Right? And at that point, I think it had 7 points, and people were like, what are you talking about? Well, look at that. How many years did it take for Leon Draisaitl to become an absolute bargain in the National Hockey League? So, you know what? He wasn't underpaid at the time of his contract. He just was one of those players that really excelled and became an elite superstar. And so now he's going to get paid like an elite superstar because he still is one. And probably will be for the majority of it. I'll be curious to see how long he commits. If you're an Oilers fan, you'd want him to commit for 8 years. Now, maybe he only does 4 or 5 like an Austin Matthews. We'll see. That to me is really, that's the fascinating part. I think the money, most listeners, any media person, we don't have to be a hockey GM to look and say, probably 13.5, like plus or minus $500,000. That's kind of where he fits in. Right. So I don't think the number's crazy. It's probably just come down to the term. And hey, if Draisaitl says I'm only doing 5, the Oilers aren't going to walk away. Heck, if he only says he's doing 4, the Oilers aren't walking away. There's no chance. Quick break. We'll come back. It's the Gregor Show on Sports 1440. Craig Button will join us next. We'll get his thoughts on Matty Savoy, Ryan McLeod deal, and more. It's the Gregor Show live in the eWell studio, ewel.ca, your partner in power since 1976, providing the city of Champions and all of Alberta with all your electrical needs. ewel.ca.
Be melon jolly, not melancholy. Summer is ripe for fun, and some Booster Juice bestsellers are back in season. Watermelon smoothies, including the refreshing Watermelon Wave, a berry burst of strawberries, raspberries, pomegranate, and vanilla frozen yogurt, and fan favorites, Watermelon Explosion, a refreshing burst of bananas, mangoes, and pineapple, both made with watermelon sorbet and probiotic yogurt. All of the watermelon, none of the seeds. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships in a safe, independent community. Large suites with full kitchens and in-suite laundry, on-site amenities, and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at cdlhomes.com.
The Bricks Appliance Super Sale is here. Check out amazing deals on all major appliances, like chest freezer starting at just $199 and washer and dryer packages for under $1,500. Shop incredible deals in other departments, like up to $920 off sofas and sectionals. Plus, from July 5th to 8th only, get specialty prices like mattresses starting at just $149 and buy more, save more up to an extra $1,000 off select major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
This is Paul Sir from the Basketball Show on Sports 1440, inviting you to head to the Fan Park in downtown Edmonton, July 5th to the 7th for Hoop City 3x3. From the streets to the Olympics, Hoop City 3x3 is fun for the whole family.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your #1 air conditioning company. So when you can't take living in oppressive heat any longer,
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
if your hot, sticky sheets keep you up all night,
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
if you've decided that you deserve to be cool and comfortable,
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
and with no payments, no interest for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Hi, Jason Gregor for Volvo of Edmonton. This summer, lease a new 2024 Volvo XC60 with 0% finance, or save up to $6,500 on select models for qualifying loyal customers. Plus a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty with all demo vehicles. And if you're thinking hybrid, save $6,000 off all 2024 new and demo XC60 Recharge plug-in models. Discover why we're Canada's only 13-time Volvo Excellence Award winner. 1205 101st Street Southwest, or visit volvocarsedmonton.com.
The 100% Canadian beef McDonald's Western Barbecue Quarter Pounder is quite the mouthful. So, who better to sell it in 30 seconds than a 100% Canadian auctioneer?
Oh, mercy, it's back. 100% Canadian beef, topped with delicious smoky barbecue sauce and bacon. Who wants bacon? We got hickory smoked bacon strips, crispy onions. Who wants pickles? Not one down, but on 2 slices of processed cheddar cheese, served on a toasted sesame seed bun, and it's so for a limited time at participating McDonald's restaurants in Western Canada.
4:28. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Hope you're having an awesome day. Lovely weather outside. It is the Gregor Show, as always, presented by our title sponsor, PlayAlberta.ca. I wonder what they put a line on for next season. Ryan McLeod points with the Buffalo Sabres. I'd be, the one thing about McLeod is if he could not miss over top of the net, he could be more productive. Now he did have 30 points last year for a guy who really not a lot of power play time. Now he did have some pretty good production there playing with Leon Draisaitl. Now Dylan Cousins, Thompson, pretty good player. I think McLeod's a better winger. We'll see where they play him. Let's go to the oil report brought to you by VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. They are Canada's #1 Volvo dealership. Why? Because they're a 13-year winner for excellence in sales and service. Stop in this weekend. If you want a great ride, I highly, highly recommend the XC90. I love it. It's got all the self-driving things. You get the hybrid plug-in models. Check it out at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. As we are joined by Craig Button, of course, a Stanley Cup winning member of the Dallas Stars, ace analyst, and scout for TSN, joins us again. Butts, how you doing?
I am really good. Just hit off to the Calgary Stampede. Just finished watching the first day of the rodeo. So I got all kinds of nieces and nephews in from Montreal. So everybody's having a good time.
Nice. Give me your initial reaction to the McLeod Tullio for Matt Savoy trade.
It's a four corners win for the Edmonton Oilers. So let's start at the first corner. The first corner is you're getting a 20-year-old player that's a very skilled athlete in Matty Savoy. We know how skilled he is. We know how it's hard to find players like that. It's hard. And I mean, okay, I'm not even going to talk about being an Edmonton native. I'm just going to leave that one alone. I mean, that's just a cherry on top. So that's number one. So not only do you get a skilled player, you get a 20-year-old player that's closer to playing than not playing. Hard to get. So that's number one. Number two, you get a player on an entry-level contract. That's significant. For the next 3 years, you got a guy on an entry-level contract, and with the salary cap where it's at, and other players. Now you hopefully, and Matty might need a little bit of time, and maybe January we got to look and see where he's at. But at the end of it all, an entry-level contract where the Edmonton Oilers find him, and a guy that I think will be productive, that's really advantageous. Salary cap relief. You take off McLeod's salary, and now that gives you opportunity. I mean, I know Holloway and Broberg are coming out of their entry-level contracts. It gives a lot more flexibility with respect to, what the Oilers want to do in other areas in terms of handing out contracts, or maybe there's some other additional. But and number four is that being able to take advantage of a situation where the Buffalo Sabres, like they drafted Matty Savoy early in the first half of the first round. Yep. Then they draft Zach Benson, and they have Olofsson, and they have all these smaller players. And you can only have so many smaller players on your team. So the Edmonton Oilers being able to strike, to being able to look and go, hey, we can help you out. And I think that the Oilers got massive value in trading McLeod and Tullio and getting such a top-notch talent in Matty Savoy. Those are the four corners of a win in this trade. And, I'll say 33.5 I'm setting the line at for Ryan McLeod in terms of his points. I've watched Ryan McLeod play since he was 15 years old, Jason.
Yep.
He's never put up points. Like he's never going to put up points. He's never going to do it, ever. He is what he is.
Yeah. And you know what? And he's a good NHL player, but you're right. He's not going to, he's more of a penalty killer. He's a great skater, can transport the puck. You know what? He's good defensively, doesn't get caved in at all defensively, but you're right. He's not going to bring a lot of offense.
Well, they re-signed Janmark, right? Yeah. You end up getting Henrique. You had him for a couple more years. You've seen the emergence of Dylan Holloway. And to me, getting that skill that Matty Savoy brings and speed. So we know how fast the game is. Now you're watching the speed that he brings, the shooting of it. I think Matty's a better winger. And so now you think about Draisaitl, you think about McDavid in the middle of the ice, and now you got to deal with Matty Savoy's speed and his finishing ability. that becomes a real significant threat. It's not just what he can take advantage of; it also opens up the ice for other players. And I just think it's a magnificent trade for the Edmonton Oilers. A magnificent trade.
You mentioned that Buffalo's trading where they got a surplus of small players. Do you also get a sense maybe that here's a GM, Craig, that looks at the tea leaves and I was like, hey, we got to win now. Like, we got to be a team that can get to the playoffs. And Matt Savoy most likely wasn't going to help us in that regard this year, whereas Ryan McLeod could. It fills out their bottom six. They basically revamped their entire bottom six from last year. And I'm not saying that's the right move, but do you get the sense that maybe that's the thought process here from Kevin Adams?
When you've missed the playoffs for 13 consecutive seasons, I think your thought process has to be that now is the time. That there's got to be urgency to it. There's got to be a real significant focus on, we can't keep talking about building. 13 years, if that isn't enough time, then you'll never have enough time. So I believe I think Lindy Ruff coming in, I think Kevin Adams making the moves that he's made, it's about now. And they can't be in the same place next year at this time that they are where they've been the last 13 years. It's just, quite frankly, in a competitive league where winning is a huge measure of success, Kevin Adams doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, no. But of all the guys, Craig, like all these small guys, like is Savoy the best one, or do you like Benson better? Like, what do you make of this?
I like Zach Benson. It would be silly for me to say I don't like Zach Benson. It would be silly for me to say I don't like Matty Savoy. But there's only so many. The league is getting bigger.
Yeah.
And why is the league getting bigger? Back in 2005, coming out of the lockout, we had the rules emphasis, we had the lack of obstruction, the lack of interference, holding, everything that went with it. So now the bigger player was getting developed at a younger age. Just go back and look now at the 2003, 2002, 2005, 06, 07 boards. The big players can skate, because if you can't skate, you can't play. There used to be a time where if you were big, okay, you can muck around, bang around, kind of tussle it up a little bit. You can't do that anymore. You got to be able to skate. And so you watch the players are becoming bigger and they can skate and they have skill. So, given the choice between everything being equal between a smaller player and a bigger player, you're taking the bigger player every time. Mm-hmm. I go back. I thought Zach Hyman was so brilliant in the playoffs. I believe it was after Game 5, and he was asked the question about what's been a secret to winning these last two games to pull within 3-2 of Florida. And he said it's the battles. It's the space battles, it's the wall battles, it's the puck battles, it's the net battles. And you need size there. And if you don't have it, you're going to struggle in those areas. And you watch how good teams can push skill outside. You got to have an ability to get inside there and battle and push your way in there. And the fact of the matter remains, you can only afford yourself so many smaller players. It's not about having all the skill. It's about having a balance. You need skill, you need size, you need will. But I think the Buffalo Sabres found themselves in a tough spot where, because of how they drafted, and you won't have to ask them, Matty Savoy was a good draft pick. Zach Benson's a good draft pick. But now you start to build out your team and you start to think, oh boy, is this going to give us the success we need? And to your point, Jason, and it's a great point, is it going to give us the opportunity to be successful now? Because now is what matters for Buffalo.
Yeah. Very much so. Craig Button joins us here on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. And Craig, you've had now 5 days. You look it over, free agency. Which signing or signings caught your eye, good or bad?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be. I think Gord Miller kicked off free agency on TSN very well. He said, we just saw a whole bunch of players get bought out. We're going to see a whole lot of money getting spent on players as teams try to, get players because they're competitive and they want to win. And in a few years' time, we're going to see some of these players get bought out again. I think the competitive nature of the teams, we know how competitive they are. And we also know that there was a thaw. There was a thaw in the salary cap. I called it the COVID CBA. Well, that was 4 years of a flat cap. $1.2 billion spent on July 1st is pretty significant. And I wasn't surprised by that. I thought that's exactly how it would go. We're going to have an opportunity to assess. I know people say, oh, this long-term contract, that. To get a player, sometimes you got to give a little more term. Sometimes you got to give a little more money. And that's just the fact of it. And teams are trying to be competitive now, and they're trying to find a way. And I'll just use Chris Tanev as an example. 6 years, he'll be 41 years old when that contract. Yeah, he will, but they're not focused in on 41. They're focused in on 1, 2, 3, and that's just the factor of it. So if I go to teams, I love that Barry Trotz was really bold. He said, and last summer, he set a competitive tenor with his team with the buyout of Matt Duchene and the trade of Ryan Johansson. He wanted to change the competitive tenor of his team, and he did. Now he goes out and really is aggressive and bold. And I'd be remiss. I'd not only be remiss, the Edmonton Oilers, and I think it's a great example. You look at what happened on free agent day. Henrique's got interest. Janmark's got interest. Connor Brown's got interest. There's interest in players. Jeff Skinner, he's got interest. Arvidsson's got interest from other teams. Why do they end up in Edmonton? Well, they end up in Edmonton because players, if you're focusing in on the players and you talk about winning, that are competitive and want to win, they take a quick look around and they go, wait a sec, Edmonton's a great place. They're treated great. We know that. They see the environment and they see a chance to win. And I think it's a great example of what's from the Field of Dreams, build it and they will come.
Yeah.
That's what the Edmonton Oilers have done. I keep hearing nobody went to the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning when they were no good. Nobody went there because they couldn't win. And nobody said, oh, I'm going to Florida for the tax advantage. They said, we're not going there because we don't have a chance to win. And why do people come to Edmonton? Because they want to have a chance to win. Why do players sign longer term in places? Because they legitimately see a chance to win. Why do players come to Vancouver? Because they see a chance to win. And I think that if you create that environment and you create that landscape, and obviously the Edmonton Oilers have brilliant players there, that sends a signal. That sends a signal around the league. And I think it was really significant what they did.
Craig Button joins us here on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. The Nashville, the New Jersey Devils revamped. I look at Vegas and Nashville, and I wonder, Craig, do they have enough speed in their top 9 as the game continues to get faster?
Yeah, and it's legitimate, right? So you start to look at how the game is played with pace and with that speed, and that's something that, okay, so we look at it today on July 5th and we say, okay, how does it look? Now, I don't think Barry Trotz should be done. I think that getting another top 2 center would be really advantageous to him. He's going to have to do some cap maneuvering to become cap compliant on opening night. So what opportunities are going to rise? The Vegas Golden Knights are a really bold, aggressive team. So we can look at where they're at today. I'm going to give Kelly McCrimmon and that group a lot of time to sort it out. And let's not forget that they have, and I know Thomas Hertl has to come back healthy, but Jack Eichel's a frontline player. William Karlsson's a really good player. Nick McLeod up the middle of the ice. Those are 4 really good centers.
Yeah.
Maybe Hertl plays the wing. We've seen Karlsson play the wing. I give it a little bit more time. And you're right about New Jersey. Donnie Fitzgerald didn't have a goalie last year. He went out and got a goalie, a really good goalie. He went out and got some defensemen that I think will really help his group be better and give support to specifically Hughes and Nemitz and what I call pillar type defensemen. But it's July 5th. It is where you can look and sit. Now you can work on some other things. And there's teams that, look at Buffalo. They're looking and going, wait a second here. We can't continue here. We can't keep selling the fans our prospects. We got to make a trade. So they go and make a trade, and they get a player that they think will help them move forward next year. You look at the Ottawa Senators. They did some of that same thing. But there's a lot of time here to still do some maneuvers. And it's not like the cap. It's not like the cap is flat and everybody's tapped out. There's money in the system, and the individual teams have money that they can work with.
Craig, you look at now, there can be some bargain shopping later on in the summer, but there are some big, names out there, Rantanen, Draisaitl, Marner, etc., who are 1 year away from unrestricted free agency. Leon Draisaitl's agent came out today and said he's pretty confident they'll get a deal done. He mentioned like late August, and I get why some of those guys want to have it wrapped up before the regular season begins. I totally get it. Of those main guys, where do you think the Marner situation is? Do you think it's guaranteed that he has to leave Toronto? Do you think it's salvageable there? How do you view that situation? Because like the Rantanen and Draisaitl one seem to be very different, where it's like, well, they're probably just going to sign and they move on. But where are you at on the Marner situation, and how is it as dire as some people suggest that he's for sure gone in Toronto?
Well, I think that Brad Treliving has answered that. He has said that we're not just going to make a trade just for the sake of change. Mitch Marner's been a first-team All-Star right wing twice in his career. He's been a Selke Trophy finalist. I don't know where you find these players. I've said it for a number of years now. I do not think that Mitch Marner or Austin Matthews or William Nylander have been the problem for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't think they have the requisite support around them. And if you don't have the support and the depth around you, you stress areas of your lineup. And as you move along in the playoffs, you're playing better teams, and they can create even more stressful. 16 teams are out of the playoffs the day they begin. So they're not 16 good teams out. They're 16 bad teams. So now the teams left are all good, and now and they can put stress on you, and they know where to do it. And so I think Brad Treliving has made some moves. I've said this many a times, and I said it since 2018. John Tavares is a really, really strong player. He always has been. He's an excellent person. He gives you everything he's got. And it's not about John Tavares. They didn't need John Tavares in 2018, and that created so many problems. Now, in fairness to Toronto, nobody could anticipate the pandemic, and that created a real freeze on dollars. The cap would have gone up significantly in those years, and they would have had more opportunity. But that signing did squeeze them. And so next summer, you can look at it. I think he made some really good moves on the blue line. They got some younger players coming in. And I think Brad being able to take a step back and watching the team for a year, be careful with Mitch Marner. Because when you trade players of that ilk, usually you don't get value, and you start regretting it pretty soon after you've traded them.
Oh, yeah. It's easy on the outside to say trade him, but history tells you it's rare that you're going to, like, the Danny Heatley for Marian Hossa trades, they don't happen very often, right? Usually it's you get some young prospects that you hope are going to be as good and a decent NHLer who's not as good.
Look at the Jack Eichel trade. Great. There's no question who benefited from it. And there's different circumstances around it, but the Buffalo Sabres were zeroed in. We got to get him out of here. Okay, got him out of here. It hasn't helped you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. One last one for you, Craig. You look at heading into this offseason for some of the junior teams, and you scout them all. Like, what about the draft? I haven't got your thoughts on the draft yet. Sam O'Reilly, the order's kind of unique. You don't see a team trade a first round of the following year for a first round. I'm not saying it's a bad trade at all. I think it's, if you really like the player, then he's going to be a year more advanced than that draft pick next year. And regardless of where it is, you think, hey, we think we're a good team. We're probably going to be drafting 26th to 32nd. So let's take the shot now. What did you make of that trade? And is it something that more teams might consider? Because you're getting a prospect now that's a year ahead of what that pick's going to be next year.
Known quantity, right? And I think that's exactly what you said. That's number one. The Edmonton Oilers also built flexibility because that pick could move in one of the next 2 years. It doesn't have to be, I know there's conditions on it, right? But much like Vegas did when they traded for Hanifin, they built in some flexibility in the trade where it could be 25 or 26. So Sam O'Reilly's he's not a common player, Jason. He's not a player that you see a lot of. He's flexible. He's adaptable. Center, right wing. He's got a power element. He's got a really good responsibility element where he can play center ice. And and you watch how much he's grown over the past year, and you start to think, well, if he just grows 10% of that over the next year, you're going to have a really good player. Playing for Dale Hunter, you're going to get a player that's going to get better. And I believe that making that move based on what you know right now, that we want that guy. Again, it's a different way of being bold, and I think they were being bold. The Sphere was fantastic. I think everybody would agree on that. It'll be interesting to see how the teams, kind of adapt to this everybody in their own center. It's still going to be an event. It's going to be like the NFL draft, where you're going to go to a city and the commissioner will make the announcement of the pick. Players will come up and be part of it, but the teams won't be there. And I know talking and hearing from a number of different teams, and I think they want to see how it plays out over the next year or two before they lock into one way or another. And I love what Gary Bettman said. He goes, "Hey, listen, we'll listen to the managers and we'll see if they want to have a change of heart. And if they do, we'll go along with it."
Yeah, for sure. Craig, as always, man, great to chat with you. Have yourself a wonderful week. And you know what? Hey, man, we're giving you the summer off. It's always great to have you on every Friday. We really appreciate it. Thanks for all the insights and enjoy Stampede.
I will, and I appreciate you guys every week. I have a real good smile on my face thinking about joining you. I love talking with you. You guys are great up there. And the fact that you asked me to be part of it is not only a pleasure, it's a real honor. So thank you.
Awesome, Craig. Have a great summer. We'll be in touch, my man.
Yeah, we will. Thanks.
There you go. That's Craig Button from TSN. Quick break. We'll get to 5 questions and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
What's cracking at Cattail? Their men's league. Play 18 holes for 18 weeks on Tuesdays from 2 to 6 p.m. Then complete the day and head to Out of Bounds, recently ranked one of Canada's top 10 in fine dining restaurants. For details, visit cattailcrossing.ca. You adore your Audi, value your Volkswagen, baby, or Beamer. But some of that love fades when repairs take several days and tons of cash for the dealership to do their magic. Let Cochran's Automotive rekindle the flame. They'll professionally repair your import, usually in one day. Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Honda, and Toyota. Cochran's Automotive will return her to mint condition. Open at 7 a.m. Let Cochran's Automotive repair your automotive air conditioning before things heat up. Cochran's Automotive, 780-452-5001.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit edmontonexpocenter.com today.
Rule number 33. White shirts attract Stampede Mustard like magnets. Maybe just bring a spare. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules, and if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instants, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
For over 65 years, Denim Ford has been the trusted heart of Central Alberta. We're not just a dealership, we're a tradition of honesty and excellence. With honest pricing and genuine service, we proudly earned Canada's only 51-time President's Award for Customer Satisfaction. Join our extended family and experience the Denim Ford difference. Whether on the Wetaskiwin Auto Mile or online at denimford.ca, your journey to trust and excellence starts with us. Denim Ford, driving tradition forward.
An accident. And it wasn't your fault.
How can I access funds for treatment?
What if I have to change jobs?
How do I even figure out how much my claim is worth?
What if my car is a write-off? Is there funding for help with the housework?
It feels like no one has my back.
Robinson LLP does. Visit RobinsonLLP.com to find your injury lawyer. Robinson LLP, the recovery team.
FUT
or FUE.
Which hair transplant
is right for me?
I like a long and flowing mane.
I want to trim mine short again.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott, and I've used both FUT and FUE transplants to help thousands save their hair, including my own. Choosing the right one depends on how your hair looks now and how you plan to wear it in the future. I can help match you with the right procedure to create the most natural results. Visit drvanceelliott.com today.
Shift into summer with Murray's Truck Parts Locators. He has the parts knowledge like no other. Murray knows where to find what you need and get them fast with competitive pricing. That's Murray's promise. For truck inspections, hunter wheel alignments, and repairs that make your engine purr, call Murray at 780-678-2128. Murray's Truck Parts Locators for your truck parts and repairs. Located just minutes west of Camrose in Irvik Subdivision.
Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. And hey, this weekend, the finals get going, semifinals at the Brick Tournament. If you're around the mall today, tomorrow, and Sunday, enjoy that as well. There's lots going on. Of course, you got the Riverhawks Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You have the Stingers Friday and Sunday. And next Tuesday, they got 3 home games in a row. So get your tickets. Enjoy some great athleticism. As we get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. Hey, do you need to wash your favorite player's jersey? Well, check out The Brick's incredible washer and dryer packages for under $1,500. The sale ends next Monday, so you only got 3 days. Got the weekend. Check it out at The Brick, thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
Gregor, we also do have the FIBA 3x3 tournament going on in town.
That's right, yes.
So another thing you can look at this time here. Gregor, I might have done it again. My questions are not in my inbox here.
Oh my, are you that much? Do you need me to say the questions, rookie?
Got it. Transparency is key. You got to be honest with the people here. I couldn't just float forever. I was really going to go into 3-on-3. Music, DJ, all the good stuff. Question number 1 for you. Take McDavid and Draisaitl off the table, out of the equation. Who finishes 1 through 3 in Oilers' even strength scoring next season?
Points or goals?
Points.
Well, Zach Hyman would be the obvious one. That's a good question. I'll say Hyman, Skinner, Bouchard.
I do like those 3. I thought you might go Nuge, so I was going to slide Skinner in there. But
buddy, look at Nugent Hopkins historically. Not a great point producer at 5-on-5.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm agreeing with you on that one. It's going to be fun to see next season with those guys on the, even strength power play all the time. It's going to be great. Question number 2. Ideally, how many games does Stuart Skinner start between the pipes?
I think it's going to be similar. Now they do have 14 sets of back-to-back games. So there's 14 starts right away for Calvin Pickard. I think you'll see Stuart Skinner right around the 55, 56 range.
Excellent. A question. No. Oh, yeah, I'm with you there. I'll say maybe a little bit closer to 60. Give him a little bit of a workload there, but right around there. Question number 3. We talked a lot about the NHL offseason, but when you look at the NBA, is there any team that you think has had a really good offseason?
Oh, you go first this time.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'll say, I'm going to say the Dallas Mavericks. And because they were close, and then to go out there and then just bring in Klay Thompson, I think that I don't know how much he has left. I'll start off by saying that one. We'll see what he can provide. 34 years old, but can he come in, have that winning mentality? Maybe he's in the ear of Luka Doncic, letting him know, hey, you want to win a championship. These are the things you need to clean up on your side of things. And maybe he can still hit the big shot. So since they're so close, they wanted added Klay. I'll lean towards the Mavericks.
You know what? There hasn't been any major moves so far in the off season. So I'm gonna go. Like a lot of the top teams really haven't brought in very much, right? Like the Bucks brought in 2 guys who are probably more depth guys to their team. I'm trying to think of like the top guys. Minnesota was a good team. They brought in, I don't know if Dozier is going to do much, but that's a good question, Kyle. I will probably. I'm going to go. Can I say none? I don't think anybody's done. Actually, no. I'm going to go with Caruso and the Thunder.
Okay,
Yeah. So I think they needed to get a little bit better defensively, and they got they're a good team that's building. They didn't go out and crazy and overspend on anything. So I kind of like that move. I'll go there.
I'm just going to quickly say, hey, Declan, do you have one? Paul George to the 76ers. There you go. We'll see if he can get them over the edge there. Over the top.
This Paul George circa 2019.
Playoff P.
We'll see.
Question number 4. You got Canada, Venezuela tonight, 7:00 at Copa. Who is your pick to win and advance?
Dude, come on. It's not even a question. Venezuela. Do they even have a team? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, of course I'm going Canada all the way here. I think they're going to win it for Buchanan. That's what I'm going to say. They're going to get rallied. They all welcomed him today. Like, that's a huge blow, man. When a player that's serious of an injury, it's awful. So I think that'll be a little extra motivation for them. I've liked how they played so far in the tournament. So yeah, I'm going to go Canada. I'm looking forward to that match.
I'm going to go with you, but I'm going to say just a little more specific in penalties. We saw it last night with Ecuador and Argentina. Messi hits the bar.
I'll say 1-0. That's my
1-0. Okay. 1-0. I'll say Canada finds a way in penalties to take it. And a final question for you. Hypothetical Friday. It was on this day. I don't know if you know. In 1994,
no, I didn't know.
Jeff Bezos created Amazon in his garage, just a website. It's grown quite a bit, as we know. Hypothetically, if you could use Amazon for one thing that you're sick of buying in stores, what would it be? So my question is, if you could have something in store delivered to you for the rest of your life so you don't have to go buy it, what would it be?
Well, technically, can't you do that right now?
Well, some things.
Okay.
I'll tell you, I would say for me, clothes.
Yeah. Well, I was going to go with, I have to say that I went out and I bought a new pair of boxer shorts. Well, I actually bought 3 of them. And they are probably the most comfortable boxer shorts I've ever had in my entire life. And no joke, I'm like, I want to go buy some more just so I have them. So whoever long, I'm like, I'll buy, because it's not like I'm going to change sizes. It's not happening. I could buy I would literally go buy 50 of them, just keep them in the drawer. They're never going to go bad. And I'm like, if I could get that brand all the time, because they're soft, they're comfortable, they're perfect. They don't ride up, right? There's nothing worse than the boxer. And I don't need them too short. I'm not a swimmer. So I probably would go with boxers. Yeah, boxer briefs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think, because there's got to, I don't like going out and trying on clothes. If I go shopping, I'm looking at the size of my previous pair, looking at the same style. I've got the same style the last 12 years because I always try to get the exact same ones. I get in and out. So if I could just eliminate that process, clothes and properly fitting clothes at that would be great.
There you go. When we come back, Mark, we might have a big guest coming up in about 20 minutes time. We're just waiting to see if we get confirmation. I don't even want to, that's just my teaser for you. If it doesn't happen today, it'll happen on Monday. And I think you will enjoy that guest for sure. So we're trying to get them on in about 20 minutes, just waiting. But if not, it'll be on Monday. But Spec is coming up next. We'll talk about the McLeod trade. If you missed it, if you're just getting in your vehicle, what? Who got traded? Ryan McLeod. Connor Halley will tell you where and for who. Coming up in a Sports 1440 update brought to you by the Hockey Heroes Society. And they have their gala dinner and golf tournament combined now, September 6th and 7th. Dinner on the 6th. Golf is on the 7th. Go to hockeyheroesgame.com. You can have a great time with NHL alumni, golf with them, have dinner with them, have some laughs, and help kids get playing sports. hockeyheroesgame.com.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers have traded forward Ryan McLeod and Tyler Tulo to the Buffalo Sabres in exchange for Matthew Savoie. Savoie at 20 was selected 9th overall in the 2022 NHL entry draft. He's only appeared in one NHL game, playing the majority of the season last year with the Moose Jaw Warriors, registering 19 goals and 28 assists for 47 points in 23 games. From the NBA, Orlando Magic forward Franz Wagner has agreed to a 5-year, $224 million rookie contract extension that could be worth as much as $269 million. On the diamond today, the Jays are in action down in Seattle, taking on the Mariners. First pitch set for 7:40. Two teams meeting tomorrow at 2:10. Sunday at 2:10 as well. You can hear both those games on the Sports 1440 radio feed. Earlier today was the Cubs victorious over the Angels 5-1. 3 games underway right now. Pirates, Mets, Cards, Nationals, and Giants, Guardians, all of which are scoreless. In about 2 hours' time, Canada takes on Venezuela at Copa America down in Texas. Officially set for 7 o'clock. And that one, UEFA earlier today, Spain knocks off Germany, scoring a goal in the 119th minute to advance. And Portugal falls to France in penalties 5-3. The Edmonton Riverhawks are in action again on Kamloops tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday. Tonight, 7 o'clock down at Remax Field. The Edmonton Stingers, they've got 2 games this weekend as well. They'll take on the Vancouver Bandits tonight at 7, as well on Sunday at 7 o'clock, hosting the Brampton Honey Badgers. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Alan Mitchell, host of The Lowdown with Lowetide. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
The cheesy burger pizza is back at Papa John's. See what happens when you ask for it? Boom! Finally, it's on the menu again for a limited time. Get all the items in the cheesy burger trio or choose between the large cheesy burger pizza for $18.99, cheesy burger papadilla for $9.99, and bacon cheesy burger papa bites for $8.99. All made with sizzling beef, dilly pickles, ooey gooey cheese, and burger sauce. That's right, burger sauce. Get it before it's gone. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some cheesy burger pizza at Papa John's.
Albatross Roofing and Construction has immediate job openings for skilled flat roofers and sheet metal fabricators and installers. If you have SPS modified bitumen experience and CSTS certification, they want you. Get a great wage, benefits, steady work, and upward growth. Apply at roofingalbatross.ca today.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
The Bricks Appliance Super Sale is here. Check out amazing deals on all major appliances, like chest freezers starting at just $199 and washer and dryer packages for under $1,500. Shop incredible deals in other departments, like up to $920 off sofas and sectionals. Plus, from July 5th to 8th only, get specialty prices like mattresses starting at just $149 and buy more, save more, up to an extra $1,000 off select major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
If you're a basketball fan, you're going to want to check out the Basketball Show here on Sports 1440. I'm Paul Sir, and I'll be your host every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon right here on Sports 1440.
Wow. Get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Bon-Ton Bakery has been baking bread since 1956, but also offers a whole store of delicious local and specialty foods today. So we're not just your daily bread source. Bon-Ton has treats for your friends and workmates, cakes for those special occasions, monthly features so you can try something new each time you visit, including many healthy options. There's something for everyone. Bon-Ton Bakery, open 9 to 5, Tuesday to Saturday, online at bonton.ca.
Elevate your drive with spectacular savings at Windermere Chrysler. Get 10% off the rugged 2024 Ram 1500, the luxurious Grand Cherokee, or the versatile Durango. Thinking bigger? Opt for a heavy-duty truck and enjoy a no-charge diesel upgrade. Or take advantage of no payments for 90 days on select 2024s. Visit us today and explore these offers in our breathtaking new showroom.
The choice is clear.
It's Windermere.
Visit windermeredodge.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, a clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
Positive Friday. How are you? Whew, what a sports weekend, baby. You probably need some time off from the NHL. You're like, it was a roller coaster of emotions. And you got baseball, the Riverhawks. You got basketball, the Stingers. You got soccer for Canada. You got basketball for 3x3. You got F1 for the third weekend in a row. Man, there's baseball. If you're a Jays fan, there's lots going on right now. It's fantastic. 3 weeks away from the Olympics. I can't wait. July 26th to August. Think about that. The Olympics will take us through. You're into August. Then you're almost coming up on Labor Day, which is, hey, the Elks, what happened? Hey, maybe the Elks, by the time the end of the month comes, they might win 2 in a row. They play Ottawa back-to-back. Dare to dream. Dare to dream. Probably will have an Elk sale by the time end of August comes around. Might have a Leon Draisaitl contract by the end of August, according to his agent. So there's lots happening. It's going to be a very quick summer for hockey fans, but there's lots of hockey talk to discuss. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And hey, you know what? Maybe you're feeling lucky right now. Go to PlayAlberta.ca and get in on Lotto Max. The Max Million draw $40 million today. Not bad at all at PlayAlberta.ca. Let's get to the spec report now, brought to you by GS Construction. And hey, there's no slowing down for them. There's no off season. It is full bore and they need you, good workers, whether you're just entry level, just looking for your first gig with a great company, or you got lots of experience as a top foreman, top woman, top man, either one, are hiring them right now at GS Construction. Go to Indeed.com and look up GS Construction as Mark Spector joins us. And Spec was like, I get to be at some holidays relaxing. And now suddenly you're typing out a Ryan McLeod trade. Spec, what do you make of the deal?
Well, they're clearly, there's a couple sides to this thing. They're obviously clearing some salary. That's the first thing. I'm a little surprised, stop me if I'm wrong here, Jason. I thought the coach liked Ryan McLeod in the playoffs a lot more than I liked Ryan McLeod in the playoffs. I didn't like the fact that in a series against Vancouver, and to a large part Dallas, where maybe you were getting out hit and out physical for sure, he was passing up hits left, right, and center. And that's okay if you're scoring a bunch of goals and you're a top 6 guy, but he was a bottom 6 guy and he was still passing up a lot of hits. I didn't like it much. So I guess what got me, Jason, is the coach kept giving him shifts. Like, it didn't bother Chris Knobloch any, but it did bother me. And now all of a sudden he's traded out of town. So maybe it bothered somebody else, huh?
Well, you know what? He's traded out of town for a few reasons, right? They needed some cap flexibility, number one. Yeah. I think you trade Ryan McLeod and you still have Henrik, Draisaitl, McDavid as your top 3 centers, right? You have Nugent, Hopkins, Skinner, and Holloway as your left wingers. You have Hyman and maybe Holloway's a right winger, and you have Hyman, Arvidsson, and Kane, right? There's just not really room there. So you clear up some cap space. You get in a player who's a really skilled junior player. Right, at 2 points a game skilled, right? Like last year, he had 71 points in 34 games, split between Wenatchee and Moose Jaw, and then of course played a little bit for Canada at the World Juniors, and then won a Western League title with the Warriors. And we had Craig Button on here, and he's like, "Hey, let's be honest. Like Ryan McLeod has he never scored. And Button scouts him way more than I have. Since he was 15, he's never been a scorer. So he's not going to be a scorer. People get too focused. Yeah, he doesn't finish checks. He does a lot of other things. The one thing he doesn't do is finish checks. And you know what? If that's the make or break for people, fine. But there's guys who finish checks who do absolutely squat. So to me, that's one element. It's not the only element. But I get why the Oilers, I think they can move on from him simply because they got way more depth in the organization and they needed to free up a little bit of cap space.
Well, it becomes a bigger element when you're a bottom six player, I would say to you. Like, I expect bottom six players. I have a higher expectation of finishing checks, but you're right. That's just one element. Frankly, I'm here to tell you Ryan McLeod is a better, to me, on this Oilers team, he's a left winger. He's not a centerman. Because I don't think he brings what you need from he's not going to be a first or second line centerman on Edmonton. I don't think he brings what you need out of a third line center. I don't think he's that kind of player. And is he a fourth line center? I don't know. Maybe. I don't want Ryan McLeod on my fourth line. So I see him as a middle six left winger, frankly. And maybe he'll mature. You know, I don't want to paint him as a bad player. He's not a bad player, but the speed, he's so quick. He's so fast. I wish there was other elements of his game that were as superior as his foot speed. And I'm not sure when you're ranking the player, you know, his foot speed is outstanding. He makes your team faster. He's fast. He gets in on checks. But I'm not sure what the next high quality for Ryan McLeod turns out to be. He's not a scorer, right? He doesn't have great hands. He's not awesome around the net. He's not physical, but he sure skates fast. And I guess I'd like to be instructed on what the next asset of Ryan McLeod is after those great boosts that he has.
Yeah, you know, a decent defensively. You're right. Like, he is, you know, he's a solid NHL player. Savoie's a really high-ranked prospect, you know, who, until you're a solid NHL player, you're a top-ranked prospect. But the advantage he's going to have is there'll be no need to rush Matt Savoie to the NHL for the Edmonton Oilers. He can go down to Bakersfield. I would fully expect. The one thing I'll say is he needs to be on the first unit power play. I don't care who's down. I don't care that Raphael Lavoie's down there. Matt Savoie's on my first unit power play because that's what he's going to let him. Now, you can also, you know, Colin Schock's going to work on his defensive game for sure. But this guy, he's been an offensive player. He's drafted as an offensive player. Put him in offensive situations.
Yeah, and he falls on the wrong side of that old hockey adage that when you're big, you got to prove you can't play, and when you're little, you got to prove you can. And he has proven, right? Matt Savoie has proven that he can at every level. Now it's time to prove it again at the AHL level. Like, listen, I'm here to tell you, he's a very small player. What do they list him at? 5'9", 175? Is that right? Mm-hmm. So that means he's probably closer to 5'8", 170 because they always lie. Some guys play at that size, right? Some guys play at that size. Not very many, you know, not very many. Go through the National Hockey League, guys that are as small as him that are playing. I mean, Johnny Goodrow's a little bit bigger. He's an unbelievably skilled player. He's playing. You know, Quinn Hughes is very, very small. He's an unbelievably skilled player. He just won a Norris Trophy. But if you're not an absolutely elite offensive player at that size, you know, it's like Kailer Yamamoto, Jason. Remember, it turns out Kailer Yamamoto was like a bottom six player. Well, now he's a bottom six player that weighs $165. And it was pretty easy to move on from Kailer Yamamoto. So Matt Savoie has to prove he's not that guy. Is that fair?
Yeah, he's much higher potential than Yamamoto. Yama was a really good junior player, but never a 2-point-a-game guy. But hey, size is always a little bit of a concern. There's no question about it. And you know what? You get stronger and you keep working. To me, this is a really good bet for the Oilers and for Buffalo. They're in win now. Like, they got to get to the playoffs. And they look and say, hey, we think Ryan McLeod can help our bottom six more than Matthew Savoie can today. And that's probably a fair statement for today. So, you know what? I think the better upside for sure is Edmonton. The better instant return will be Buffalo, right? Because
you're right. Yeah. Buffalo's under pressure, man. It's time there. And they had a solid NHL player in McLeod for sure. And he'll be I don't know their lineup after the trade deadline. Where does he slot in there? Is he slotted as the second line center there or third line center?
God, no. They got Dylan Cousins and Paige Thompson. Yeah, he's a third line center, but he might be a winger, right? Because you know, and some would argue that he's maybe better as a winger than he is as a centerman.
Yeah, I would argue that. I would argue that he's better he has a chance of being a top six player on the left wing, in my opinion. I don't think he has a chance of being a top six player at center. So you know what? Wish him well. And these are the moves you make when you're winning right now. The Oilers are getting rid of a young player that's pretty good for a younger player that they hope might be even better. But in the meantime, he doesn't earn much money. So you know what? Let's see what happens. Jeff Jackson's busy. You can't say he's not.
Well, him and his management group is looking like, do they even need a GM? I say that somewhat tongue in cheek, but honestly, like you look at and it's not just Jeff Jackson. I want to give Keith Gretzky and Bill Scott and Brad Holland and the other, because nobody just, makes this one move, and Jackson is scouting everybody and knows every player. Of course not. He's talking to his Rick Tracy, because obviously he was in junior. And so they watched Savoy in junior this year a lot, right? Because that's where he was. So, your amateur scouts, everybody's involved in this, and, you got to give them credit, because they've, a lot of their moves right now that they have been making in signings and in trades. And it helps when you're a winning team, Spec. Like, suddenly, I argued it for decades. Oh, suddenly when Edmonton's a good team, no one cares where it's located, which I always said would happen. People go to teams. Detroit's not some marvelous city, but everybody played there because they won and they had a chance to win all the time. And Edmonton is in win now mode. And Draisaitl, let's transfer over to that, Spec. I'm not sure you saw the article they transcribed at Oilers Nation about an interview that Leon Draisaitl's agent had, and he talked about he's very confident that a deal will get done and they'd like something. And this is Yuri Poner, suggested that by the end of August.
Now, who was speaking, Mike McLeod or Andy Scott?
No, Yuri Poner, the one of Draisaitl's agents in the German outlet.
Oh, Yuri Poner. Okay, yes. All the European guys kind of have an agent over there. I'm not so sure that. I mean, that's interesting, because I'm not so sure, guys who have European agents have that because they might go play in Europe at some point. I'm not sure Draisaitl, that doesn't fit Draisaitl's MO much, but listen, I won't disagree with Yuri Poner, because I think we all see the same thing. There's a contract coming. I don't think there has to be a giant hurry for this thing. Wouldn't it be great if it happened before the season started so that everyone didn't have to talk about it during the season? That would be awesome. I see a player that wants to play here. I see a team that's ready to give him everything that he's worth in the market. And I see a guy that's on a team that has a chance to win. So there's just, to me, Jay, and I know you feel the same way, I don't see a single reason why Leon Draisaitl isn't signing a contract here. I just don't. The only question is, how long is it going to be?
Well, I totally agree with you. I've said that all along. The organization would obviously want 8 years. I don't think there's much question or debate on that, right? You want to sign a superstar player for that, but hey, if it ends up being 4 or 5, they're not going to be like, no, we can't do that. Of course, you're going to do it, because that gives you 4 or 5 more years, one of the best players in the league, and then it's still an opportunity to re-sign him again back when that deal's over.
Yeah, the ball is entirely in Draisaitl's court here, like 1,000%. He comes to the table and says, and he'll be reasonable, he knows what he's worth. He'll be reasonable. He'll give him a number. He'll give him term. And I just don't see where there's a negotiation, frankly. I don't see where the Oilers have any negotiating power with Leon Draisaitl. There's no better player out there as a free agent. It's not like you can say, well, if you go, we'll get someone better, Leon. You can't say that, right? You can't say that. So if he says, I only want 4 years, what do the Oilers say? Okay.
Sure.
Right?
That's what I said. Well, would you like 5? Well, and that's where they'll try to convince him maybe to get a little extra. I understand that, and that's the job of the GM. And but ultimately, 13 to 14 mil spec is what I see happening here. I think Leon Draisaitl. We had a lot of people text in. Do you think Arvidsson and Skinner make it easier for Draisaitl to sign? I don't think it's the players. I think it's just he sees the organization's committed to winning. That's what he sees, right? And I do believe. Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid have a lot more influence in some of the organization's decision than some people might think.
Oh, for sure they do. There's no question. And we need to make sure people realize they're not GM-ing the team, right? Like when they hired Jeff Jackson, Connor McDavid went out of his way to say, whoa, hang on here. When they hired Chris Knobloch, whoa, hang on. This wasn't me pulling strings here. I know Connor hates that look that people think he's hiring coaches and stuff, because he's not. But any good organization, when you're making certain moves, you talk to your best people. You talk to your GM, you talk to your president, you talk to your owner, you talk to your captain. Everyone talks to their captain. And I would say if you got a guy as good as Leon Draisaitl that's next in command, you probably talk to him too. That's just good business, Jason. It's all it is. It's good business.
Yeah, and realistically, where you'll talk to McDavid is you'll get a really good sense of what's in the room, and hey, what do you think we need, and who can stuff like that. And so that's Yeah, it's not surprising to me. And the Oilers are in a really good situation. They are, in most people's eyes, they're the favorite right now for next season. That doesn't mean anything other than they're the favorite. They're a good organization. Right now, they're a team that everybody expects to make the playoffs, bare minimum. A lot of people think the goal should be to win the Pacific, and I'm one of those people. I think the goal should be to win the West. I don't really care as much about the President's Trophy, but winning the West, because you know what? There's no guarantee the President's Trophy, if he's in the East, automatically makes it 4 rounds. So just win the West, and that guarantees you 3 rounds of finishing first. And then really there's only however many teams in the East, if there's any, that have more points than you that could potentially get home ice advantage. One other one for you, Spec. Have you been to I know you're a big ball guy. Have you been to a Riverhawks game yet?
Yeah, I did. I went last year a couple times and absolutely loved it. They've really figured out how to entertain. It's baseball, so you never leave the park sad because your team lost or happier because they won. It's just not about that. The product is great. I love the ball. I'm a baseball guy. They're making plays. They're hitting home runs. The beer is inexpensive. The scene is wonderful. I love sitting in the River Valley. And here's the best part. And if you have kids, Beckett would love this. If I'm sure
I've been there.
Yeah. After the game, they open up the field, and everybody in the stadium walks around on the field. There's 2,500 people walking around, and they kept the bar open so you could bring a beer out there while you're walking around watching your kids run the bases. Like, talk about getting a feel for the room and what people want. Hogel and those guys and Randy Gregg, my hat's off to them, man. They've done a fantastic job down there. I'm telling everyone who's listening, go to a Riverhawks game. It's tons of fun.
Spec, have a great weekend. We will chat with you on Lindy.
Hey, thanks, Jake.
There you go. That's Mark Spector, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. Hey, you got the Riverhawks tonight. You got the Stingers. Stinger, you're a basketball fan. That's the game of the weekend. No question. First place battle between Edmonton and the Vancouver Bandits tonight down at the Expo Center. So get there. Obviously, some great seats. There's only a few. I'm looking online right now. There's a few of them, but it's a great atmosphere there too. Food is super cheap. You get great entertainment as well. So you got 2 good options, Stingers and the Riverhawks tonight. Also, the 3x3 is going on downtown. It's fantastic. I drove by the setup today. It looked great. So that'll be loads of fun as well. We'll take a quick break. We got lots and lots of text in the UL inbox. We'll open up the phone lines, 833-401-1440. Your thoughts on the McLeod deal? Any guesses on Draisaitl? More so on length, I think. What do you ultimately think? Not what you want. What do you think he's going to sign for? And is it really necessary to have a big name GM coming to Edmonton? You can give us your thoughts on all that. 833-401-1440 in our UL inbox. Hi, Jason Gregor for Volvo of Edmonton. This summer, lease a new 2024 Volvo XC60 with 0% finance, or save up to $6,500 on select models for qualifying loyal customers. Plus a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty with all demo vehicles. And if you're thinking hybrid, save $6,000 off all 2024 new and demo XC60 Recharge plug-in models. Discover why we're Canada's only 13-time Volvo Excellence Award winner. 1205 101st Street Southwest, or visit volvocarsedmonton.com.
Hey, Elks fans!
Jackpot! Touchdown!
Get on the Elks party bus for every home game at On the Rocks for only $35.
Included is a game ticket, round-trip transportation, and a prepaid Coors Light.
Reserve your spot now at ontherocks.com.
And OTR is your go-to for every Euro Cup game.
With $5.25 Heineken.
Their first major trophy.
It's the ultimate football experience.
Canadian or European.
Only at On the Rocks.
Jasper Ave in 118th.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble!
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
What a season. What a ride. Congratulations on an incredible season from GS Construction. Whether you're a laborer, pipe layer, or pipe layer's helper, lead hand, operator, top man or woman, or water and sewer foreman, GS Construction has room for you on their team. GS Construction, celebrating 50 years of laying the groundwork of Edmonton and communities throughout Alberta. Let's get to work. Get started today at gsconstruction.ca. Edmonton is a great sports town. I've been there, I know. My name is Jason Smith. I host a late-night talk show here on Sports 1440. Join me and Mike Harmon tonight from 9 to midnight. There's always a ton of things to talk about, so tune in. Sports 1440.
Rule number 37. Elk Island mosquitoes don't believe in personal space. Keep bug spray ready at all times. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The cheesy burger pizza is back at Papa John's. See what happens when you ask for it? Boom! Finally, it's on the menu again for a limited time. Get all the items in the cheesy burger trio or choose between the large cheesy burger pizza for $18.99, cheesy burger papadilla for $9.99, and bacon cheesy burger papa bites for $8.99. All made with sizzling beef, dilly pickles, ooey gooey cheese, and burger sauce. That's right, burger sauce. Get it before it's gone. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some cheesy burger pizza at Papa John's.
Hey, Kevin, what are you doing in here?
Well, last month you were giving away, so I just thought I would see if you were still giving away in June.
Stop swearing. And yes, we are still giving away in June at St. Albert Dodge. Take our 2024 Durango. Was $64,500 and now just $52,900. Need a new Ram 1500 4x4 crew cab? We've got it. Originally $63,700, now just $44,900.
See, you are still giving away.
Kevin, stop swearing. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Country Club Tour has added a new first-class golf course to our featured facilities.
Goose Hummock Golf Resort is a gorgeous course with natural forests and interlocking ponds.
And since it's just a short drive north of Edmonton near Gibbons, a round fits my schedule any day of the week.
Book a round or a stay-and-play getaway in Goose Hummock's RV park with over 100 lots.
This summer, I'm going to let loose at the Goose.
For more info about Goose Hummock Golf Resort, visit countryclubtour.com.
Plaza Friday rolls through Edmonton Sports Leader TSN 1260. How you doing? Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Busy show. Made a little bit busier with the acquisition of Matthew Savoy from Buffalo in exchange for Ryan McLeod and Ty Tullio. Quick text and we'll get to our guest. Hey, Gregor, do you think the Oilers lack some gritty players? I don't think so. I never saw them really get out gritted. That's not a word, but you know what I mean. In the playoffs, Ryan McLeod's not an overly physical player. They brought, he's gone. Arvidsson's in. Fogel's gone. Skinner's in. I'm not sure Fogel, McLeod, Skinner, Arvidsson is like a massive downgrade in grit significantly for the Edmonton Oilers. Maybe a little bit of a downgrade in speed, but not a huge amount. A little bit, but an upgrade in skill and finish. I don't, if Evander Kane gets healthy, that adds a lot to your team in that department. No question about it. So the Oilers roster isn't complete, guys, right? Like who they start the regular season with, they're going to make an acquisition at the deadline. So maybe two. We'll see what happens. Let's get to some more talk about the trade. Alan Mitchell joins us. Al, another trade never broke on your show. Hey, that's kind of how it goes for you. So this is giving you a lot of time to formalize your response on your thoughts on the Ryan McLeod Tullio for Savoy trade.
My first reaction was I thought Jameson must have a job somewhere, and they're just waiting for him to go on the air. And then I thought it's probably Gregor. He has a deal with Bettman now. They get to give, I'll break all the news on his show. I will say that I think that the Oilers are shopping in the right aisles. This is a really nice player that they got. There's a lot of reasons why they would have made this trade. One of them, which is to lower the money, but this is a really good prospect. The Oilers did well in this deal. Now, if they didn't have Adam Henrique, I'd be yelling about third line center. I like McLeod's speed. He could play center or the wing, but he was a complementary offensive player. Craig Button outlined that earlier on your show. So this is a deal that you're always going to have to give to get, but the Oilers were paid in full on this deal. That hasn't always been the case in past. I like the trade for Edmonton long term. I'd like them to go get, as you said earlier, I'd like them to go get another center, hopefully a right-handed center now for the fourth line.
So you don't think that they'll bring back Derek Ryan back?
Well, I do, but I think that they had Derek Ryan. They traded for Sam Carrick too, right? Like, I think Ryan can play there, but you might want to have more than one option.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair. Well, I wonder if they think Noah Philp in the minors might be that guy halfway through the season.
That's a great point by you. One of the things that people are going to have to, I heard you say about they're not done yet. People have got to be patient with this team because there's a lot of things they don't know. And you mentioned a great one with Noah Philp. What if he shows up at camp and he's just like, it's like he hasn't skipped a beat? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying, he's a young athlete. I think he turns 26 this summer, and you never know with these guys. He might have been training like crazy, and so you've got to wait and see. You don't want to block him if he's ready. So you have to wait and see what you have. And I do think he'll play this year. If he can get back to the level he was in 22-23 with the Bakersfield Condors, I think Phil will play in the NHL this year.
I don't disagree with you. He's an intriguing guy to watch for. And I also don't rule out Lane Peterson battling Derek Ryan for that spot either to start the season anyway. So, there'll be some competitions in camp. I think there might be some competitions like, is Dylan Holloway, where is he playing? Right. I would think Skinner and Arvidsson get the look early in the year, but nothing's guaranteed. Right. If Holloway forces himself up the lineup, that is definitely a good problem to have. What do you make of the trade from a Buffalo perspective? I find it, here's a GM who feels like we got to win now. And Ryan McLeod gives us more speed. He's a proven NHL player. Manny Savoy's best years are probably 2-3 years down the road from now, if not longer, like his best years, but like impactful years as a regular NHLer. And so they got a lot of young guys, so they went that way. And we'll see how Edmonton handles it, but I think it's a good opportunity.
Yeah, I also think that it's a great deal for both teams in this way. Buffalo has a lot of small forwards. Matt Savoy, there's prospects they're small forwards too, like Xavier Bargot. Julio's not a big guy, but the thing about Savoy is that he's more skilled than the Oilers kids. He's way more skilled than the guys they had in Bakersfield a year ago. So it's an upgrade for the Oilers, and for Buffalo, they get a guy who doesn't look like everybody else on their team. McLeod, he is a complimentary offensive player, but he's away from McDavid over the last 3 years, he's about 51% goal share at 5-on-5, and that does count for something. He's able to do things that help his team outscore. Now, I don't know that he's going to go in Buffalo and be a 51% scorer at 5-on-5. I don't know that because they're a different team, but he does have some ability. He is not a physical player, but he can play without the puck. He can transport the puck, and he's still developing. He's still a young player. So I think Buffalo got a guy who doesn't look like everybody else on their team, and Edmonton got a small forward. They have them, but they don't have anybody like Matt Savoy. He's the best prospect in the system, bar none, no question.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely the most skilled. Not much debate on that. Alan Mitchell joins us, host of the Lowdown, noon to 2 here on Sports 1440. Al, have you been following the Copa Americas, and what do you give Canada's chances against Venezuela? Do you watch those big events?
I do. I've been watching the Euro too, and I'm just tickled that they're. I know this is ridiculous, so Canadian, but they look real. Like they look like they compete with these nations, and the Chile was up the other day, and I was wondering what Hernan was thinking because he would be torn. But I just like that they're in it. This is a major tournament. Canada is in it, and they're bona fide. And it'll take me a while to get used to it, but I'm really happy about it. And how far they go, I mean, I'm already thrilled.
Al, have yourself a wonderful weekend, and enjoy the heat. Put some sunscreen on, and we will chat with you on Monday.
As you know, I need a 500, proof for my sunscreen. So I've already got it on, my friend. I mowed the lawn today, and I'm exhausted.
Hey, you know what? Nothing right. Good time to mow it, Al, before it gets super hot. That's smart, right? Your grass will thank you. Well, you've earned a beer then, Al. Relax.
Oh, thank you. I will have one just because you said so, sir.
All right. Hey, there you go. You're a good listener. I like it. Alan Mitchell every weekday here on Sports 1440 from noon until 2:00. We wrap things up. The text line 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Lots of you with thoughts on the trade and Draisaitl predictions. We'll get to all that and more and wrap up a very busy week here. It was a short week, but man, there's lots going on. Free agency was crazy. You got a McLeod trade. You got the Riverhawks rolling, the Stingers rolling. It's a fun time to be a sports fan in Edmonton.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men
Just
and women of Action Electrical.
maybe. Well,
Projects team reporting. We
Team
design,
40.
build, and construct
Have
all
a
the
great
electrical
weekend.
systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical Project
Positive
team
Friday.
on your site.
Here we go.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships in a safe, independent community. Large suites with full kitchens and in-suite laundry, on-site amenities, and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at cdlhomes.com.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase style, regular season gameplay, and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2011 and 2016. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
The Bricks Appliance Super Sale is here. Check out amazing deals on all major appliances, like chest freezer starting at just $199 and washer and dryer packages for under $1,500. Shop incredible deals in other departments, like up to $920 off sofas and sectionals. Plus, from July 5th to 8th only, get specialty prices like mattresses starting at just $149 and buy more, save more, up to an extra $1,000 off select major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Basketball and hockey seasons are heating up. Baseball is just getting started, and we've got you covered with around-the-clock sports coverage. Tune in for Fox Sports tonight after 9 and all weekend long. Sports 1440 has you covered.
Hey, Elks fans.
Jackpot! Touchdown!
Get on the Elks party bus for every home game at On the Rocks for only $35.
Included is a game ticket, round-trip transportation, and a prepaid Coors Light.
Reserve your spot now at ontherocks.com.
And OTR is your go-to for every Euro Cup game.
With $5.25 Heineken.
Their first major trophy.
It's the ultimate football experience.
Canadian or European.
Only at On the Rocks.
Jasper Ave and 118th.
Enio and Jason are friends. Hey, buddy.
What's up, buddy?
Except when they talk hockey. Edmonton had all those first overall picks, and they still can't win.
Yeah, but we still beat you. Battle of Alberta champs, baby.
But ask them who makes the best beef jerky in Alberta, and they'll tell you.
Wilhauk beef jerky.
It might be the only thing Alberta hockey fans can agree on.
Pick up some Wilhauk beef jerky today in Leduc, Spruce Grove, and West Edmonton Mall.
CW Eves Troughing is busy. That's why they're looking for experienced troughers to run one of their trucks. To get paid top rates, contact CW Eves Troughing at 780-435-1492 or email info@cweves.com.
Join NHL alumni at the Hockey Heroes Charity Alumni Weekend in Whitecourt on September 6th and 7th. A Friday night banquet featuring live entertainment, auctions, and a great meal, followed by a charity golf tournament Saturday at the Whitecourt Golf and Country Club. Visit hockeyheroesgame.com to register.
.545. Lots of texts. 833-401-1440. Welcome back. Got a lot of people wondering, do you think Matt Savoy's family would be upset because Carter just got released and now they traded for his brother? I don't know. I guess you have to look at things a few ways. Can you be disappointed that Carter wasn't qualified? Yes. No question about it. And he was he's a later round pick. Just look at the odds. It's a much longer long shot for sure. And lots of those picks don't get qualified and end up going to other organizations, and some of them make it. Some don't. Matt was in Buffalo, and now he comes to a team where it's a better team, so it's harder to make the roster. That's totally valid. But I don't. There's also the chance as a youngster to say, hey, look at the orders and look at the age of their wingers. Look at the age of Draisaitl and McDavid. Those guys aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Matt Savoy, who realistically probably needs a year in the American League, even though, hey, every young player who comes to Oilers camp thinks he can make the team, as they should. If you don't think he can make the team, he shouldn't be there. But if he gets time in the American League and gets lots of opportunities and gets stronger, right? Like the one thing you can't rush is strength improvement. You can work on it, but it's not just like, oh, one summer I'm going to get way stronger. I think it built. Look at Ryan, and it's funny because Matt Savoy, who did he talk about a few years ago when he was talking about players he watches, and he's like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. And if you look at Ryan Nugent-Hopkins when he came out of junior, and he was an 18-year-old, and you know what, he's number 1 overall pick, and so he comes out of junior and he jumps right in the NHL and plays well, and has an very unfortunate injury, unlucky, right, shoulder injury. But he was a slight player. Go back and look at Ryan Nugent-Hopkins when he was 18 and see kind of how slender he was. And he has maximized the strength he can get on his frame because he's still not a very big human. And so Savoy, if you just look at his body type, like there's only so much muscle you can put on your frame if you're a smaller frame. It's just how it goes, right? Like you can't change your DNA. It's impossible. So I think he looks at that and says, hey, you know what? He got stronger. Matty Savoy's a really skilled player. And now, because of that skill, you're in an organization. There's no organization that provides 2 better centers to play with in the league. None. And hey, Dylan Cousins and Thompson are 2 pretty good young players, but they're not Draisaitl and McDavid. So I don't know. You might be upset, but Matty Savoy, like, is he going to let the fact his brother didn't get qualified impact his career long term? There's no reason to, right? There's a business side, and that's it. There's really no other reason to worry about it. Because I asked people, I said, if it was you, what would you do? Would you let your lip hit the ground and be like, well, you know what? I'm so upset my brother I'm not going to play here. I'm going to ask for a trade. Like, why? Right now, unless something happened behind the scenes that we're unaware of, right? And keep in mind, when you, and it doesn't matter. You get cut from your U15 team, your U11 team. There's always somebody who thinks, well, somebody's screwing us over, right? It doesn't matter the sport. It happens all the time. I still know people who got cut 30 years ago. Like, you weren't that good. That's the harsh truth in 99% of the time. There are some cases, yes, that maybe there was a little bit of this guy knew someone else, and so he picked the play. But I always tell people, I said, so if you were down to the last 2 or 3 cuts of a team, and you got cut from the AA team or the AAA team, and you go to the AA team, well, then you should be the best player in the AA team. And at age 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, that's actually better for your development because now you're going to touch the puck way more and you're going to build your confidence. So I don't know. That's as old as the test of time. People who complain when they got cut. I'm like, very rarely does someone ever want to say, you know what, I just wasn't good enough. And it's easier to blame others and say, someone screwed me up, but that doesn't mean it's actually the truth. So, you know, I only know the Savoy family very little, but I would be surprised if that would be their initial thought. Right? Anytime you get traded, it's a shock. I'm sure Matt Savoy, after the season he's had, was like, hey, I'm going into Buffalo, right? That they probably talked to him after a season. Man, what an unreal season. You had 2 points a year. You won the Western League. We can't wait to have you come to camp. Get healthy, right? And come to camp and be great. And that was probably the message. And at the time, I think they truly believed it. But trade offer comes about. Ryan McLeod at the time wasn't in the Stanley Cup final. They didn't know it. They didn't think he was going to score 3 goals in the Stanley Cup final. And some teams see that and say, hey, here's a guy who showed up when the games matter the most. So, no, but he's never been a scorer. So that's the thing. And Craig Button, as he said, he goes, I've scouted Ryan McLeod since he was 15. And he's never been a big-time scorer. And scoring is hard, right? Like, not everybody's like Ryan McLeod's career high in goals was 26 in the OHL. It's a good season, don't get me wrong. But it's not like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. Right? His last year as a 19-year-old, he had 19 goals and he had 62 points in 63 games. In the AHL, 5 goals, 56, 14 and 28. NHL, 9, 11, 12. So he's never been a big-time goal scorer and not even really a big-time point production player. So why would anybody think he's going to be? He kind of is what he is, right? Everybody, have yourselves an awesome weekend. Please don't drink and drive. Don't be weeding and driving. Whatever it is, there's lots of rise in intoxication, non-alcoholic. So be smart. Enjoy the heat. Have a lot of fun. Enjoy the Stingers. Enjoy the Riverhawks. Go Canada tonight against Venezuela. And we'll be back on Monday to do it all again. And we got a few special guests lined up in the next week. Should be loads of fun. On behalf of Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, I'm Jason Gregor. If you missed any of our guests, go to jasongregor.com for the individual interviews or anywhere where you get your podcast. You can get all 4 hours. Here's a comment on a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Albatross Roofing. There's immediate job openings for experienced flat roofers and sheet metal fabricators. Must have experience with Torch on Roofing. Steady ongoing work and industry-leading wages. Full benefits. Apply at roofingalbatross.ca. Good night.
The Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers have acquired the forward Matthew Savoy from the Buffalo Sabres in exchange for Ryan McLeod and Tyler Tullio. Savoy, 20 years old, was selected with a number 9 overall pick back in 2022. He's appeared in 1 NHL game. He spent the majority of this past season with the Moose Jaw Warriors, registering 19 goals and 28 assists for 47 points in 23 games. In the association, Orlando Magic forward Franz Wagner has agreed to a 5-year, $224 million rookie extension with the team that could be worth as much as $269 million. Major League Baseball tonight, the Jays are in action, kicking off a series with the Mariners in Seattle. First pitch set for 7:40. You can hear games tomorrow and Sunday, 2:10, right here on Sports 1440's radio feed only. Elsewhere, a couple games underway right now. Mets and Pirates tied at 2 apiece. The Nationals lead the Cards 5-1. Yankees, Red Sox are in a rain delay in the bottom of the third. That one is scoreless. Tigers on top of the Reds 2-0. Giants lead the Guardians 3-0, and the Phillies and Braves are scoreless. Canada, Venezuela tonight at Copa America. That gets going in just over an hour down in Arlington, Texas. At the Euros earlier today, Spain advancing past Germany with a 2-1 victory. They scored in the 119th minute. to secure the win there. And in penalties, it was France over Portugal, winning 5-3. The Edmonton Riverhawks taking on Kamloops tonight down at Remax Field. That one gets going at 7:05. Two teams meet tomorrow at 7:05 and Sunday at 1 o'clock. And then you got the Edmonton Stingers in action tonight, hosting the Bandits of Vancouver. That'll get going at 7. On Sunday, the Stingers take on the Honey Badgers. That's another 7 o'clock start. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we got another edition of Turn Sports. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
The Sports